Good day.
Hey, how's it going?
Not too bad. Yourself?
It's going good. Just
Right
always
on.
working on stuff as always.
Yep.
But it's always so because, as you know, I really want to help people understand. It's not like Graham Hancock, where his desire is really to push just one idea and then make millions off of it,
Right.
make it confusing. My goal is to give you the information, like I told you before, so you don't have to trust me, so that instead you understand.
Right.
And hey, even it's possible if you looked at all the stuff, not saying, if somebody, not you particular, I'm just saying, people, and maybe I have an error, but I have all the information down, so you
Right.
could actually acknowledge what I'm saying, and so what could be wrong or not. That's called falsifiable, by the way,
Right.
and which is generally what science almost demands.
Yep. Yep.
And Graham Hancock has nothing close to that.
Yeah.
So far from that they would just they would say, okay, well, it sounds like you need to finish your idea and then come back to us. I mean, it's not even the fuck, you know what I'm saying? It's not. It's in other words, it's not even an argument. It's like a part of a possible argument, but then he can't even do that because, of course, you would have to have, I don't know, like a starting point. And this is the other thing too. Reason why my stuff is more believable in a say, right, is not because I say it more often.
Right.
I'm just trying to make a point. Like Graham Hancock said, if you just constantly go, because he'll put, reason I say this, because he'll post posts sometimes, and people think it's a big deal. That's why it just blows my mind how little critical thinking is happening. He'll post something like, say they go, King Arthur's tomb is now 4,000 years old. We used to think it was the medieval times or whatever, right? And then he'll go, things are always getting older. So my ideas of go back in time being 20,000 years old could be right on the money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
totally unrelated, actually.
What the it's a complete logical fallacy. So as you know, it doesn't follow. Like in logic, if I say something, it has to like step on something else. And then, that's how you get to top of Damien's mountain of ideas. Right. It's because there's all these little steps that all go to the same place. And then when you put them all together, you're like, damn, that's a lot of things going that way.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, that's like the one I was working on right now. Not because it's about tattooing. Not because particularly, I don't like tattoos, because I do.
Right.
But that's actually nothing to why I did it. I did this because studying other things, not looking exactly for tattoos, but studying cultures, as you know, I've done a lot of. You have to look at, or not have to, but it's good to look at the pictures of what the indigenous people looked like.
Yep.
So you can get like a non-biased opinion about maybe what they look like or what they did. Because,
for sure.
And then also what happens when you do that, you start to see, at least for me, patterns.
Mm-hmm.
Like, wait a minute. I'm seeing some similar shit, like, that shouldn't be similar unless, spread ideas. So speaking of which, so go to that picture. I'll show it on the screen too. I'm not 100% done with this, but I'm pretty close. But it's the thing about tattoos. And it's just to show you all those little chins are females' chins.
Oh, okay.
And if
all
you
over
notice,
the world, eh?
It's like the entire Pacific, correct?
Yeah.
Both sides.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, that's cool.
Which wouldn't happen outside of shared culture.
Right. Right.
All these women tattoos on just their chins, and of course, it's not in other places, but just basically in around the Pacific, which I do know, and I've showed you before, and also Graham Hancock. It's not that one person did all that, by the way. So,
right.
From China to Taiwan.
For sure. Yeah, no,
well, anyways, I'm just saying, so that's why I try, a lot to say, and I know that's why my videos are so fucking long, because I try to explain everything. But I also really do want you to understand, like I said, not believe me,
right?
But for yourself, understand, where you can look at it yourself and then not even need me to tell you. Just you look at it and you would think, hey, is that a pattern?
That's weird. All these tattoos, face tattoos all over the world look pretty similar.
But India does touch China and all that, so you can see the
Right.
ideas just probably spread.
Yeah,
They do tattoos sometimes,
just not this particular type.
but Europe does medical tattoos, it looks like, or some sort of like, probably witchcraft kind of, idea,
Okay.
just so people understand. Not really witchcraft, but I mean, like a pagan thing did, but like a magical spell. How about that? A better way
Sure.
of maybe saying it. Because I know that's why terms is important, but I'm trying to get you to grasp what I'm saying. They would do something on themselves, and maybe they prayed or something. I don't know, or chanted, or who knows.
Right.
But I'm just saying. So, but that's a certain kind of tattoo.
Okay.
There's also tattoos for clans. But anyways, I'm not going to go into all the tattoo. One of these days we'll do a thing all in tattoos because
Sure.
I could like a lot of things. I could like go off, but
For sure. I find the variety of tattoos around different cultures fascinating. So I'm here for that whenever we do it.
we're
awesome.
gonna do it when we hit the Americas, because when we go to the Americas, I really want to explain a bunch of stuff nobody understands,
Okay.
because
Cool.
it's beneficial for everyone.
Yeah.
Yep. But yeah. So but like I said, but my goal, like I said, wasn't even about tattoos. It's really because I want you to see. Do you know all those face chins all have sky fathers and earth mothers? Isn't that interesting? You know what they also have? They also all those ones all believe, in a sense, or those areas at least, similar areas as those face ones. They believe that people were invented from clay.
Okay.
They also have flood beliefs. Oh my gosh, Corey! They also all believe in flat Earth. It's almost like all the ideas went together, Corey. I just.
So you're telling me that these people, they had a variety of ideas and they carried them with them whenever they went. Is this a recurring theme within the show?
Well, you mean that when I talk about this being a case, it's not like Graham Hancock where he's like, well, I don't know. I literally go here. Here's a different way. Oh, look, here's a different way. Oh, the DNA does that too. But it's two different DNAs. Q and C goes one way, but they bring the ideas.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then the other ideas go down this way. And it's, I can't remember off the top of my head because I'm not super good. What is Austronesian? Oh. I wanted to say O, because I know O is in the south of Japan. And South Japan went down. Could be N. N could have gone down. Maybe even C. One of these days, I'm going to go look into more. I need to get to obviously learn more, or not learn more, but read more about Austronesians. I must have forgotten all the other things that I try to learn.
Yeah, fair enough. That's a lot of information that you're already storing in your brain.
Right, yeah. And I've read it before, but I've obviously forgotten now. What is that? Anyways, my point is, this is my point. So it could be a shared DNA. I don't 100%, but it won't be probably Q. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
There's ones that that's more north. They didn't go really, really heavy south. So it's probably not that.
Okay.
So I'm saying, but that's what I'm saying with Graham Hancock, because he just throws nothing out there. There's nothing for him to even like. I was talking about falsification, looking for, just like me. I thought that clay beliefs were going to be all over Siberia. I told you before. Thing blew my mind. Wait a minute. There's nothing.
Right. Yeah.
Oh. Like the one thing that nothing is shared. Almost every other thing is shared. I'm like, yeah. Matches. What the fuck?
Why doesn't this match all of a sudden?
Right, but I'm just saying. But I could find that only because I'm not guessing. I'm actually looking for real shit.
Right. Yeah.
Right. That's so. Otherwise, how else could I see that? Because I would never. I would have assumed, and since all the other myths all do that, I would have said, well, of course. I mean, why wouldn't it?
For sure.
So then when I go find out, oh, it has none. That's insane. We're talking about 6,000 miles of none. Holy fucking shit. That is insane. How can that be? That just blows my. I think that's still insane to me. How is that possible? Anyway.
Well, now it gives you another avenue that you have to explore, right? You have to figure
Well,
out.
I certainly. Well, and it's probably because of the pottery thing. I guess I don't know, or maybe they had such a strong because a lot of the ideas came from there.
Right.
So this is an idea that probably came from China. They may just not have accepted it.
Yeah.
You know, like,
that's right.
oh,
Yep.
well, we have all those Earth Skyfather. Yeah, that's fine. We have one of those. Yeah, this and again. What? Oh, we don't care about that. You know.
Yeah.
Anyways,
We already have our own ideas about how people were made. We don't accept that they were made from clay.
There you go. Yes,
Yeah.
maybe there. Well, because I know some. I don't remember now, top of my head, but there's some. Anyways, there's some beliefs from that. I was thinking from Siberia, where they think that the light of the sun, maybe it's Hungarian shamanism. I can't remember.
Okay.
But anyways, but a stream of light of the sun, the Father God, or on the light is where their people came from. So they didn't come from clay. They literally are from the rays of the sun. So I can see where someone like that be like, oh no, I'm not from Earth.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They would never accept I'm from anything from Earth.
We were, created from light or what have you.
Or from the sky. We're sky people. What if not? Hell no, Earth people. No way.
Yeah.
Anyways, but I can think like that when I know the facts about other factors of the culture, and then because I try to, we're doing here, instead of just going like our now time thinking. Just like I was going to say, we'll do a show too on serpents and dragons and snakes and stuff and how it relates to water and rivers and all this in oceans. But when you think about ocean, like say the ocean is totally flat, well then the serpent is sleeping. And it's rolling, right?
Yep.
Then the serpent's alive.
Anyways, yeah.
I'm saying you have to think animistically. That's the hardest thing I think about all the myths is you have to like not know science.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Not know science.
Yeah. Ignore your natural explanation tendencies. Yeah.
But I think that's in general because we're doing this show right here. And by the way, we're going to do 15 shows because I figured it all out, wrote a big blog, put everything in there. You see it?
Right. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I'm actually got it open right now.
Right.
It's a big sheet.
Right.
Yeah.
In the sense, we'll attach this every time and we'll put the new video in there where it belongs. And so as we go, we'll just be filling up with the video. And every time we'll put the thing. Anyways, but so I really wanted to do comparative mythology. Because at first I was going to do with ocean. Well, that's where we start with the myths. But you don't even know what I'm talking about.
Right.
Right? Well, my wife always tells me, Damien, start back at number 1.
Yeah, you're at 10 already.
Yeah. I'm already, ripping and roaring, and you're like going, okay, Damien, what's the subject?
I wonder if I can catch up.
Well, yeah. So an A and a B type of teacher, I was tested before, and they said I'm actually half and half, which is very weird.
Yeah.
Probably because also I'm genderqueer and intersex, so I maybe it's because the two sides of my mind or something. Because I usually like gender-wise when I like things, it's almost 50-50. I'm like real in that sense, way I think and feel.
Right.
And so the fact that I take tests and it says that's kind of similar to how I do stuff, like, okay, well, that matches what I feel. So,
right. Yeah.
But
it's like two modes of thinking at once almost.
Two modes of thinking at once. Correct. Or they in tandem, like they catch each other. And they think different. One thinks more male and one thinks more female. One could give a living fuck about people. And the other one cares totally. I mean, it's like, oh yeah, it's hard to be in my head. But anyways, but I would say it gives me an ability to grasp people and things in a way that is not normal.
Right.
Because I don't totally connect with men, but I can kind of understand. I don't totally connect with women, but I can understand. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I'm like a half something where I don't feel I fit anywhere, truly, Corey. I mean, that's how I feel. That's why people are like, oh, didn't you feel like you connect? Like, and maybe I don't know how other intersex people feel, but for me, I feel like a completely lone being with all these other beings that call themselves all these things and feel they're a part of stuff. And I feel like I'm a part of fucking nothing. And
can
as
kind
you
of
know,
relate to
even
that.
the LGBTQ community kind of treats me like I'm a forgotten or not super important or forgettable or don't even
Yeah.
care to begin with.
Yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, that's my plight as an intersex person. But like I said, but about thinking, it allows me to connect with more than normal people
Right.
and stuff, and to see things in a layered way that is it anyways. But so that's what so an A personality is super creative, but they're super hard to follow because there's no starting point and it's not always even an ending point.
Right.
Super cool is a whole way through, but you're like, what the fuck? So they're real hard to learn from, in a sense that you will learn the most revolutionary things ever from an A personality. They're fucking amazing. But
If you can learn them.
yeah, if you can keep up, or
Yeah.
figure out where it starts and ends. And then
Yeah.
a B personality is the exact opposite. They're
Okay.
the ones that pulling out charts, and they give you the handout before time, and everything is all categorized and subset
Yeah.
headings, and oh yeah.
That's the type that I strive to be, but I don't think I am.
Well, then there's a C personality, which a lot of people are, which really is a little bit of neither.
Right.
They're really not that good at almost any of that. Like they're not
Yeah.
super good at teaching, and they're not super good at keeping everything, and so, but that makes it real hard. Then there's ones after that. I can't really get D, and they literally are bad teachers.
Okay.
Like they
Wow.
literally.
That might be me, actually.
Yeah. Anyways, but my point is, so they test, and some people usually are an A or B or C. That
Right.
like
They fit in
usually
one
like
category or
90%
another.
in that category, like or whatever, almost 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just usually who you are. And the
Right.
guy's like, first off, there's very few A's. He goes, and you're at 50% of both. Now that's even rarer.
Right. That's interesting.
Anyways, so I know I feel for people. I know it's hard sometimes. I know it's my A personality that I get going too fast. Yeah. That's why I was telling you before about thinking. Dude, I think now I'm not like bragging, I'm just making a fact.
Yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
faster than most people think. I mean,
For sure.
I think like you snap your fingers and I already thought 10 things.
Right.
I mean, not always, not 100%, because as the day, like when I get tired, then my brain, like, I don't know, it just shuts off. It just doesn't want to fucking do anything. And then it makes it really hard. Whenever I feel it's hard, I go, I'm just too tired.
I wouldn't say I'm that fast, but I do think I'm faster than the average person. And that's why I listen to podcasts and books at extra fast, and why when I listen to people talk normally, I'm like, hurry up, let's go. Let's get
bored, right? Right. So anyways, but so I know that how I see and approach things, I know, and I try to make art and try to make stuff, but I'm still doing it through filter of me.
Yeah.
So I know sometimes it's probably still too much. I'm doing the best I can, though. But anyways, what can I say? I'm just being me, but I still think it's better than most. So I wanted to comparative mythology, just to tell people in general. Comparative mythology is not something, in a sense, I did it their way, as you know, obviously. I do it my way. It's just I realize they're correct about a lot of things, and they're putting it together, not always the way I do, but at least they're trying to figure it out. Although I feel like too much of comparative mythology, and I don't do a lot of, is comparative mythology tries to see what the psychology of it. We did that when I was trying to figure out why there wasn't a clay belief.
Oh, okay.
But I don't generally do that about people.
Right.
As often. In other words, how do I put why? And we'll do a whole show about how I feel about psychology and stuff. Believe me, maybe more than one. We could talk about a couple of different psychologies and what I feel about them. But anyways,
right.
Because I took psychology as my degree, and I
have and I've read quite a bit. Like I've taken a little bit of psychology myself, but I've also read quite a bit of anti-psychology views, which I'm kind of on the fence about. So, so I'm very interested in the conversation.
I don't have a straight position. I have almost a dual position because I do think it's both good and harmful. So it's a quandary for me. I'd say, how do I say this? It could be wonderful, but what we have now is not.
Right.
How's that?
I like that. I think that is an accurate statement.
Okay, because I don't want to go into all that because that's not what this was about. But to me, what I mean is, I feel like I don't have a problem, like I was telling you in your other video about morality. I don't have a problem judging them if they have slavery.
Right.
I do have a problem judging if it's wrong or right for them to do face tattoos.
Right.
Who gives a fuck? I hear anchovy pizza and non-anchovy pizza. I mean, so I'm just saying, but some people try to do that. Well, they do. Now, it could be oppression and stuff like if you force, but once again, you have to look at how it felt in that community. Because you can't look from the outside and then know. It's like you now have heard about intersex people.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you could champion that community and explain everything about it?
I explain everything about it? No, but champion.
That's my point. But that's called in a sense epistemic honesty.
Okay.
Because epistemic has to do in the philosophy when you're dealing with what is known and unknown in a sense, what something is.
Yeah. How do you know that?
Right. Exactly. Right. And so when epistemic honesty is when you're honest and like I do a lot of times, I say, well, I'm not sure, Corey. Sometimes I'm real sure. Everything's like, well, you know.
Yeah.
Because that's epistemic honesty. When I told you before, when I hear that, I go, oh, there's a better thinker. Doesn't matter what the fuck they know.
Right.
It's a better thinker.
If they're honest about their limitations, then
that's a good thinker.
Yeah,
it's healthy.
Right.
Especially if they're honestly doing that, not just saying it, and then lying.
Right.
Some people con and whatever, or try to do that as a default. Anyways.
Yeah, fake humility is a thing.
I'm just saying I don't like sometimes also because, like, when I went to a sex counselor, a counselor first, not sex counselor, a counselor with my wife and I, when we first were together, and I said, we've been thinking about opening up our marriage, and we were just like married like a year.
Okay.
Let's open up our marriage and just be relationship anarchists,
Right.
And the lady's like, well, I don't know about that,
Yeah.
And I thought, do you not know because of my needs and her needs, or not know because of your own personal bias?
Usually it's
what I'm saying?
Yep, for sure.
What's her personal bias? That the monogamy is normal, that it has to be enforced.
Yeah.
That's how normal it is, Corey. It has to be enforced. It's so normal. If you don't enforce it, you may not have it. If you ask me, if it takes that alone should tell an anarchist, well, maybe it's a
hold on now,
like the pizza that has anchovies.
Yeah,
maybe that's just all it is. And that's all I was trying to say is, I'm not perfect. I'm like everybody else and can have biases. I do, as an axiologist, try very diligently to try to recognize biases, or recognize things, and also to approach, like I was saying, see it in their world. Approach it accurately. Don't approach it from how I would see something.
Right.
I see something. You put stuff on your face, tattoos. What the fuck is wrong with you? That's my opinion. No matter, even now, you put fucking face tattoos. I don't get it. I do not get it. Fair. They don't even get the neck thing, like going up. First off, it hurts, but I don't have to get it, do I, Corey?
Nope, that's right. You don't have, because they're in charge of themselves.
Don't they own themselves?
They own themselves.
I don't own them. So hey, but anyways, so because of that, I try to be very careful about psychologically analyzing people.
Sure. Yeah.
And then I also feel that, to me, psychology acknowledges things more like, how I see it, like in philosophy. You make thinking errors. The human isn't the thinking error. They are making thinking errors. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think they have, say, schizophrenic behavior. They are not schizophrenic, as in the person is not somehow the disease. It's like you don't go around going, well, that person is cancer.
Right.
Yeah, so they have cancer.
Yeah.
They're experiencing symptoms of cancer. Well, they're experiencing symptoms of depression. I don't think they are depression. I don't like that, because I feel like it starts with a place that's victimish. that like corners them into you're just a victim. It's like once you find out, it's like a death sentence, right? Once you find, you're fucked. You know. So and you know how unhealthy that is. It's fucked up psychologically. Like if you take kids, right, and you tell them they are wonderful, right, and they take a test, they fail it, but you tell them, you know, you got a B, even though it's an F. Tell them it's a B. Next time, I bet you get an A. You know what? Next time they get a B. Yeah. They've done studies on this shit. It's to me, if you understand that, how do we do things like label people?
Right.
Where they're locked into this for life, the shame and blame thing. Anyways, so I'm not gonna go into all that, but I just wanted to say that we won't really do any of that because I don't like it. And if it did it, I would have to explain so much, it'd be too long of a video.
Right. Yeah.
So, but in general, I'm not a big fan.
Fair.
Unless it's like slavery and shit, that's a moral issue. That's not about the psychology of the people. Anyways,
for sure.
Just giving you my feeling of why. So anyways, so I want you to read the first blog in that thing, which is comparative
mythology.
Comparative mythology. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Top of my head.
No worries. So first, I guess we got the picture.
Right, the picture, which this isn't any, just so you know. A lot of times I do specific deities. This was just me fucking playing.
That's fair.
So,
and it says underneath it, comparative mythology is the comparison of myths from different cultures in an attempt to identify shared themes and characteristics. The comparative study of mythologies reveals the transnational motifs that unify spiritual understanding globally.
Right. Which, we've kind of already done. That's what we kind of do. I do the archaeology, and then I show the myths that kind of are why they relate to them.
Yeah, it's kind of been something that we've talked off and on about ever since we started doing videos.
Exactly. There's never been a time we haven't been addressing comparative religion.
Yeah.
But I felt that we needed to know more about it because now we're going to delve into just myths.
Right.
So we're going to be hammering myths like hell. And so you need to understand why we're doing this or what it means or, anything, anyway, just so you know.
That's okay. So it says comparative mythology is the comparison of myths from different cultures in an attempt to identify shared themes and characteristics. Comparative mythology has served a variety of academic purposes. For example, scholars have used the relationships between different myths to trace the development of religions and cultures, to propose common origins for myths from different cultures, and to support various psychoanalytical theories. The comparative.
Yep. So see, we do the first one. I don't really do the second one.
Right.
That's what I was trying to show you. Yes, I kind of do this. No, I don't exactly do it all. And then I told you why. It's not like, I can't do it. I got a psychology degree. I actually could. But because I also am a humanist and anarchist, I also feel that could be toxic or non-productive or unfair or anyways.
Yeah. No, it's exactly like you said before. Like, you don't want to insert your biases into an analysis of this if you can help it, right?
Exactly. I want to just present the stuff and then show you how it relates so you understand. The biggest reason is, too, there's multiple things, really. Racism's stupid if we all have the same culture.
Yeah, for sure.
Racism is stupid if we all share the same DNA.
Mm-hmm.
Racism is stupid if we share languages. You know what I'm saying? When you start to realize the real facts, it's stupid. Yeah, it's really fucking stupid.
This placement of various groups into hierarchies is nonsense.
It's all stupid. You start going, fuck, we're all really kind of the same people, but it's not really crazy because we all came from Africa. We really kind of are the same people.
Right.
So our myths aren't special. They're shared in the humanity. The DNA is not special. It's shared with humanity. The languages are not really special. They're shared with humanity. So that means how in a sense I see it. So to me, it's just ludicrous. The more you really know the way I'm trying to show you is it's really anti-racism because and it really helps you with your ethnocentrism where you're locked into your only one way of thinking.
For sure.
So like I said, my goal is to do multiple things, is to, of course, make you an axiologist, Well, a value theorist, because it'll benefit your whole entire life. Every
Right.
single thing you do that involves thinking, it can help. Anyways, so if you don't care about it, I guess that's just you haven't seen its value.
Right. Yeah.
Anyways, but also it's that because then you can approach things, you can see truths better, then you can see morality better, see things like you said. Is it really great that we have hierarchies? Really? Isn't it interesting they weren't always here?
Yeah.
You know? Anyways,
Yeah.
let's keep reading.
Okay. The comparative study of mythologies reveals the transnational motifs that unify spiritual understanding globally. The significance of this study generates a broad, sympathetic understanding of these stories in human history. The similarities of myths remind humanity of the universality of the human experience. Anthropologist C. Scott Littleton defined comparative mythology as the systemic comparison of myths and mythic themes drawn from a wide variety of cultures. By comparing different cultures' mythologies, scholars try to identify underlying similarities and/or to reconstruct a proto-mythology from which those mythologies developed. To an extent, all theories about mythology follow a comparative approach. As scholar of religion Robert Siegel notes, by definition, all theorists seek similarities among myths. However, scholars of mythology can be roughly divided into particularists, who emphasize the differences between myths, and comparativists, who emphasize the similarities. Particularists tend to maintain that the similarities deciphered by comparativists are vague and superficial, while comparativists tend to contend that the differences etched by particularists are trivial and incidental.
So most of the time, obviously, I'm a comparativist.
Right. Yeah.
But I am completely willing to, of course, not in a mode of thinking, but a following of facts. So that's why I realized, wow, Siberia doesn't have clay beliefs.
Right. Yeah. I don't know why one would have to be one over the other necessarily, because when you compare the similarities, you could definitely
because people are one-sided mind. I mean, in a sense, not.
I suppose.
Corey was like, "Wait a minute, couldn't you use the philosophy needed?" I'm like, "Well, you should, but people don't."
Yeah, hold on.
Because people, like I said, Graham Hancock, people do it because they're trying to prove something. I'm trying to show you that after I looked at what was true, I realized not only did I find out what's true and not true, I realized, wow, there's a lot of connection.
Right.
Holy fucking shit, there's a lot of connection.
There's similarities and there's differences, and some of those differences can be explained by various things, and the similarities can be explained by other things.
Yep.
Yeah.
But most of the similarities that people think, oh, well, they all must just happen accidentally. That I've now realized that's wrong. There may be a few things that does, but that's not the norm. The norm is when things look the same, it's because they are.
Right.
Yeah. There are definitely times things that people can do, or whatever cultures can do similar things. And like the people that do like Ancient Aliens or whatever, they pick like cultures that have no connection. When I show you, like with the tattoos, I show you bam, 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 bam. They just pick one here and one here, other side of the world, and there's no, connection. That even if it looked the same, that doesn't prove shit.
Yeah, like, and I suspect you're probably already working on something like this, but I find it would be interesting to say, okay, the face tattoo started here, and then it went here, and then it went here, and then it went here. Like,
I don't know what happened, but I obviously I do know what the DNA did.
Right.
And the DNA starts in central China coast and goes over, or South China, whatever, goes over, it's more central, goes over to Taiwan. Then that makes the culture, which is called Proto-Austronesian.
Mm-hmm.
Leaves Taiwan, goes to the Philippines.
Okay.
Some people from South China come, I don't know if it's the Philippines or Borneo or something, they come somewhere over there, right?
Okay.
And so they mix again with another batch, but different people from South China. There's Anyway, I can't remember. I'm not as good at with Austronesian. Like I said, I need to go look at that up. But so Austronesians then become Polynesians and become New Zealand eventually, and Hawaii and Rapa Nui and and even Madagascar. They go way the heck down there. They're to travel. So they're the closest thing, to Graham Hancock's travelers. Right. But they don't leave until really until 3000, and then I think they get to New Zealand like 1000 or something.
Okay.
Years ago, I don't know. Oh, I don't remember. No, I do know it. I just don't remember. But we're gonna do a whole show though eventually on all those different cultures.
Cool.
But so go ahead and keep reading.
I just got to find where I was again.
Comparative approaches to mythology.
Yes. Yeah, so comparative approaches to mythology held great popularity among 18th and 19th century scholars. Many of these scholars believed that all myths showed signs of having evolved from a thought which interpreted nearly all myths as poetic descriptions of the sun's behavior. According to this theory, these poetic descriptions had become distorted over time into seemingly diverse stories about gods and heroes. However, modern-day scholars lean more toward particularism, feeling suspicious of broad statements about myths. A recent exception is the historical approach followed in E.g. Michael Witzel's reconstruction of many subsequent layers of older myths. Comparative,
right. In other words, evidence.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
Whoa! Yeah, the new approach. Oh, the one that Damien favors. Use the one evidence that follows, to prove what you say.
Interesting. Comparative mythologists come from various fields, including folklore, literature, history, linguistics, and religious studies, and they have used a variety of methods to compare myths. Linguistic. See also Proto-Indo-European religion and Proto-Indo-Iranian religion. Some scholars
since I know you don't know, and probably everyone else doesn't either.
Fair.
I'm just, or not everybody else, but probably a lot of people don't know. Certainly, if
your average
viewer people don't know.
Yeah.
So go ahead and click on Proto-Indo-European, and then click on and just read the paragraph title or whatever.
So Proto-Indo-European mythology is the body of myths and deities associated with the Proto-Indo-Europeans, speakers of the hypothesized Proto-Indo-European language. Although the mythological motifs are not directly attested, since Proto-Indo-European speakers lived in pre-literate societies, scholars of comparative mythology have reconstructed details from inherited similarities found among Indo-European languages, based on the assumption that parts of the Proto-Indo-Europeans' original belief systems survived in the daughter traditions.
Yeah, keep going. Go down to just keep reading, but stop when it says modern reconstruction, because that's another chapter. The Proto-Indo-European is so important because so many myths that are around the world. See, this is the problem. Europeanophiles, people that are like totally into Europe, everything, they love Proto-Indo-European because they think it's totally Europe. Of course, it also comes from the Middle East, which they hate because they were happy when it was from Ukraine. Well, that's the second, jot of it. It starts 9,000 or so, 8,000 years ago, probably 9,000 or maybe older, 9,500 or something. It starts in southeast Turkey, Georgia, Azerbaijan, anyways, maybe northern Iran, somewhere around those areas, and maybe even northern Iraq or something. But it's that, or moved real quickly to those areas. So it's southern Cossacks is the easiest place, but it's really kind of there's no like point. It's kind of like an area.
Okay.
Some people put a little bit more north. Some people will put a little more south, or in Turkey, or in towards the mountains. I don't really care. It's that general area. To me, I'm just saying. So it's not Europe,
right?
Again, as I was trying to say. Yeah. So, and that's why I'm saying I know the people from Europe because see German and all that. This is what came and became German.
So it's before the Europe.
Way before. It's back when it was in Asia.
Yeah.
Before it was European. So Europeans think it's real great because it's called like Indo-European language, right?
But Yeah.
But it's actually not from Europe. See what I'm saying? Which they don't like that because then their myths aren't from Europe.
Ah, yeah. They wouldn't like that for sure.
Right. So they're Norse god and like all those. Yeah. Okay. Asians, deity. Okay, I got it.
Got it.
Or Middle Eastern. Anyways, so keep reading. The Proto-Indo-European pantheon includes.
The Proto-Indo-European pantheon includes a number of securely reconstructed deities, since they are both cognates, linguistic siblings from a common origin, and associated with similar attributes and body of myths, such as the daylight sky god, his consort, the Earth Mother, his daughter, the dawn goddess, his sons, the divine twins, and a solar deity and a moon deity. And they give all the names in the thing, but I'm not
right. And sure. Weather god, because the weather god becomes Thor,
right?
And Zeus. And if you look at like Pyrkos, right? Click on Pyrkos because it says weather god Pyrkos. Click on that, and what does it say? Lord of Oaks.
Yep. Yeah, Lord of Oaks is the reconstructed name of the weather god of the Proto-Indo-European mythology. The deity was connected with fructifying rains, and his name was probably invoked in times of drought. In widespread Indo-European myth, the thunder deity fights a multi-headed water serpent during an epic battle in order to release torrents of water that had previously been pent up.
Pause for a second. That's the flood.
Right.
And that story of the serpent fighting, that we could have actually done a whole show on just that. There's like fuck tons of almost around the world. Everybody's fighting serpents. The serpent is the uncontrolled water, like I was saying, the waves and all that. It's uncontrolled water.
Right.
That's a serpent. Once in a while, the serpent attacks us, Corey, from the ocean. Poseidon, a humongous tsunami wave comes and just kills everybody. Yeah. Serpent's mad, man.
For sure.
Because like even in like they'll say Viracocha, right? Is I think it's the name. Once again, people names and Damien. I wish I was better. But so anyways, it's a deity from the Americas. I think it's I want to say Peru. Maybe. It's either Peru or Mesoamerica. Anyways, but I think it's can't remember exactly. I think it's Peru. But anyway, so it's a serpent, right? Snake, whatever person, and it also says he has I think a white skin or white beard. That's what Graham Hancock tries to say. Oh, this was but if you listen to it, it's a serpent, and they draw it as a serpent, and then it says his has a feathered beard, right? He's a serpent, the feathered beard. But when they say what the feathered beard is, then it makes more sense of what Damien said.
Okay.
His feathered beard, whatever, his Viracocha means sea foam.
Oh, yeah, okay. Which explains the whiteness and
yeah. Oh, you're like, okay, Graham Hancock, you're not really saying white people like you're thinking.
Yeah.
Anyways, I know. Shouldn't even waste time on that guy.
I think it's worth saying it over and over.
I'd say for saying because then people will know at least I'm against him and won't think, hey, Damien, do you like it? Oh no. Oh
no, that's right.
If you like my stuff, how could you think I would like his stuff?
Yeah, I said it at least a few times in this video. We don't like Graham.
Well, we don't like because of what he does, because he promotes anti-science, anti-intellectualism, and fucking pseudo-archaeology, pseudo-history, pseudo-science. Why would I want to support anything of that? Fuck no.
No.
Hell no. And then he attacks archaeologists. He's the one that's the con man, and he's attacking the archaeologists. It's gross. And then he gets like other people to attack the con man, or they do on his behalf, and then he celebrates them. Fucking gross.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I'm just showing you that when I'm saying that these things you never heard of, Proto-Indo-European, and then some random blah 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 god, which I can't even pronounce that, Plaska, whatever, Perker, whatever. Anyways, that deity is actually Thor. Is actually later.
Yeah, anyways, it actually, I guess on the wiki page it does say equivalents, and under Norse it says Thor, and then under Roman it says Jupiter. And under Greek, it says Zeus. So
see, I didn't even because I already understand this, Corey. So I'm just trying to show you, if you were to really diligently do all this research like I have, you would come to the same conclusion.
Right.
Not like Graham Hancock. You have to have his stuff told to you, because otherwise, if you just look at the facts, that you're not going to come to his belief.
Yeah. You'll never come to the same conclusions.
No, you will come to see. You read the stuff that I say, you come to the same conclusions.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. Yeah. It's like almost like I say stuff that's our facts. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah,
you know?
For sure.
But and I know you already trust me, but like I said, I don't want you to trust me.
Right.
I want you to understand.
Yeah.
Because once you understand, you cannot be fucking fooled.
Yeah. And somebody who doesn't trust you can come along and be like, oh, well.
Well, correct. I hope,
right?
like I said, good. Don't trust me.
Yeah.
Look at everything I say. Click on every link and follow it to its, infinitum. Make sure that I'm right. That's one. You should do that.
Yeah.
I've done all this work. Shit. All you have to do is just follow along. You don't even have to do the work. Believe me, it's been fucking years. So
yeah.
Right. So let's get back to the thing, because we can keep going, but I don't.
Back to Proto-Indo-European or comparative mythology?
Yeah, go ahead and Proto-Indo-European, because there's still more you need to understand.
Okay. So then some deities like the weather god or the herding god are only attested in a limited number of traditions, Western, i.e. European, and Greco-Aryan, respectively, and could therefore represent late additions that did not spread throughout the various Indo-European dialects.
See, and they're thinking like I like to do, is when you don't see it, then it tells you something also. It's not like Graham Hancock. You don't just look for everything that matches. You also want to understand what doesn't match and then understand that also.
Right.
It's not, you know what I'm saying? It's not just proving your point. It's like also, why is things not that way?
Yeah. Where did this come? Why did this come later?
Right.
See?
Yeah. Exactly. That's to me a better thinker. If you're going to ask, that's what I'm saying when he asks second grade questions. He asks questions like the same stupid question. Well, couldn't these be older? What? Stupid question. No? Move on.
Yeah.
Well, couldn't these be older? I thought we answered this question. Couldn't these be older? It can't be older. Well, how come it can't be older? Because it would have to have dates that are older. Well, what if it is older? We haven't found dates. Well, if we find dates, we'll make it older.
That's right.
Well, so it could
Until you find dates, you don't know.
I mean, I'm saying his thinking. So it could be older. Well, it's not outside the possibility if we find dates.
Right. But we don't have the evidence to say that it's older.
We have no evidence to think that it is older. Well, I think it is. Okay. Well, I'm going to investigate like it's older. What? Like how? And then of course, I always think if people watch this, and I know I think a lot, but even people that don't think a lot, really? That was great for you?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny.
It was painful. I watched the second one. I'm telling you, I was bored as fucking hell.
Is that right?
I was like, oh my God, how much longer did I watch? Oh, fuck.
Yeah. I like I say, I only watched a few episodes of the first season, and I was blown away by how little he tells you for real. He spends all of his time jacking off, just asking questions,
Yeah.
and then accusing the establishment of archaeology of dishonesty. That's the whole program. You don't learn anything.
And just think, if anyone had a right to, in a sense, but not the right, but it was informed enough to actually critique the archaeology field, it would be me.
Right.
Not Graham Hancock. Yeah. That fucker doesn't know shit. I know a fuck ton. I mean, so here's the thing. And in fact that I don't critique the shit out of him. I wonder why. And then I critique Graham Hancock. I wonder why.
Yeah, that's right.
Because archaeologists are saying things I pretty much agree with. There's a little bit different. I feel like they don't totally grasp how everything is together. But unlike Graham Hancock, I don't go, well, they should fucking, change. I go, I need to prove it to them. They need more evidence.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I do like the thing I'm working on right now about the tattoos. I show them more evidence. Hey, look at this neat thing.
Yeah.
Look at how all these cultures in the Pacific on both sides share tattoos. Oh, they share myths too. Oh, and DNA is kind of similar related. Oh, and there's doing, so, and then also going to have the pyramids and the mounds and the shell mounds and stuff.
Right.
Oh, they're all doing that. Oh, and totem poles too. They all totem poles. Wait a minute, or whatever. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that's really similar, and I feel like, in general, though, like a philosopher, if he was like a credible person, you have to prove what the fuck you're saying.
Right.
It is not on other people to blindly fucking believe you.
Yeah.
And then he gets mad like you have some fucking obligation just to blindly believe. No, motherfucker, you have the obligation, the what's called, I don't know, burden of proof.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
And then when you come up with, well, I don't even know where this supposed magical culture is even located, and I have like 4 or 5 different options. Seriously? I mean,
so I should believe you. Why?
How did he become a millionaire? Am I missing something?
Yeah.
Well, Elon Musk does sound dumb as fuck when he talks.
Yep.
And he's a billionaire. Maybe just capitalism rewards billionaires and doesn't really like intellectuals. Oh, maybe that's it. I don't know. But anyways,
yes, you do.
Weird shit that I can't understand, obviously. Probably not far from the truth, right?
Yeah, you pretty much nailed it. Like,
all right, let's keep going. But also, you saw it said in Greco-Aryan. See the word Aryan? You know they love the word Aryan.
Yes, of course. Yeah, for sure.
So, but and then it says some myths are dated.
Some myths are also securely dated to Proto-Indo-European times, since they feature both linguistic and thematic evidence of an inherited motif.
By the way, when they say Proto-Indo-European times, see, once again, why don't they show you what time? What are you supposed to fucking like magically know the world? Okay, Proto-Indo-European, like I already told you, probably really originates somewhere between 9,500 and say 8,000. But when they say this Proto-Indo-European times, they don't really mean that. They mean like 6,000 to like 5,000, just so you can grasp. That's or I should say, I'm assuming. I don't know. I didn't write this, but I'm assuming because when they think of it, that's how because the reason I bring this up, they say, well, we can comparatively do the religions back to 6,000 years ago. See what I'm saying? Well, the DNA probably goes back farther.
Right.
To the Middle East. But yes, in Ukraine 6,000 years ago, sure, okay. Everything went out from there and they can trace those. But so I'm just saying, I know they didn't put it. That's ridiculous.
Right.
How the fuck would you know that means probably 6,000 to 5,000 years ago? How would you know it's 1,000 years ago? You wouldn't know shit. It's stupid.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, there's no indication of how long ago that was at all, actually. Eh? Like,
well, once again, you'd have to click and go read how long Proto-Indo-European's been around.
Yeah.
You'd have to do a bunch more research, which is stupid. You shouldn't have to work that hard if you're trying to learn.
Right. They should at least put it in the brackets there that say like this is how long ago. Yeah.
I don't know. It struck me as odd. Like, what the fuck? Anyways, go ahead and keep reading.
Okay. So they feature both linguistic and thematic evidence of an inherited motif. A story portraying a mythical figure associated with thunder and slaying a multi-headed serpent to release torrents of water that had previously been pent up.
Pent up in what's called the firmament that multiple of the things believe.
Right.
Like in the Bible, the firmament literally talks about it.
A creation myth involving two brothers, one of whom sacrifices the other in order to create the world.
Cain and Abel.
Right. And probably the belief that the other world was guarded by a watchdog and could only be reached by crossing a river.
Right, which is seen in a whole bunch of. We'll get to that too when we do dogs. But
right. Various schools of thought exist regarding possible interpretations of the reconstructed Proto-Indo-European mythology. The main mythologies used in comparative reconstruction are Indo-Iranian, Baltic, Roman, Norse, Celtic, Greek, Slavic, Hittite, Armenian, and Albanian.
See, did you even know all those are actually connected?
I did not.
Mythologically?
That's interesting.
Yeah. Doesn't that help?
So I kind of knew that Norse, Roman, and Greek were connected, but I did not know any of the others.
But see how you've already learned something. And so, especially, I don't know why atheists wouldn't want to know this, because it helps you fight myths.
Right.
When you know what the fuck is going on. They're like, oh, well, this is special. My God is special. Like, no.
It's not that special.
No.
Yeah, for sure.
And then they go, well, I believe in the Great Spirit. And you're like, okay, the sky god? And they go, oh, I believe in the great blue sky. Okay, the sky god?
Right.
I believe in the sun. Okay, the sky god? I believe in thunder. The sky god?
Yeah.
Can you please get to a different deity? I'm getting bored.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I believe in Thor, sky god.
Yeah.
I believe in Horgalis, which is actually the tree with a mallet, which is usually a tree struck by lightning for the Sami shamans.
Yeah.
And then they call it Horgalis, which is kind of almost exactly like Thor, which is once again sky god.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyways.
All right, so back to comparative mythology.
Correct. But now you feel like you have a little bit better understanding when it says stuff like also see Proto-Indo-European, right?
Yeah. Now I actually know what they mean.
See? Now we just keep reading. Now we're on the same page.
Yeah. So some scholars look at the linguistic relationships between the myths of different cultures. For example, the similarities between the names of gods in different cultures. One particularly successful example of this approach is the study of Indo-European mythology. Scholars have found striking similarities between the mythological and religious terms used in different cultures of Europe and India. For example, the Greek sky god Zeus.
Oh, sky god. Dr. Damien says that shit all the time. Corey's like, man, I've heard that shit for like last 5 years.
Right. The Roman sky god Jupiter and the Indian or Vedic sky god Darius Peter have linguistically identical names.
See, now how does that make you feel when I've said this how many times and you read someone else, not me, literally from Wikipedia, literally saying the exact same shit.
Confirming exactly the same thing, eh?
Right. Yeah. And then when you understand that, how could you not understand that? How could you not understand that all gods, in a sense, relate to shit like this? It's like, well, Jesus is true. You think that? No. Let's see. The Canaanite, which is where the Jews get the Jewish people or Hebrews, whatever, Israelites, they get their sky god. And his son, the Thor, because his son Jesus kills the snake, kills the Leviathan, which is the same thing that Baal does, and Baal is the son of El, which is the Canaanite sky god. And Baal is Thor, and he kills the serpent. Well, if we think that lightning is happening, it's usually storming, raining, and stuff, and so there is a correlation of like surging waters, right?
Yep.
During rain, thunder.
Yeah.
So the fact that it's like they're battling, he's thundering, and then all of a sudden tons of floods happen.
Yep. No, it makes perfect sense that that's the way that they moved the myths along and kept that.
But that's what I like to do, is analyze the myths, not so much the people, right? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're not analyzing why they decided to do this, why people, because I don't know. I just see it as a simple thing, because I can see the animism in it.
Yeah.
The animism, as I said before, is natural. It's not like all habit. Because see, someone before said all children, I think it was Pradgett or something, said all children are animistic before 7, before their logical brain. Well, that's not accurate. They've tested and stuff. And a better way of saying it is there is a tendency, or it is common, for children under 7 to have animistic beliefs. That is accurate.
They give things agency that don't have agency.
Common. But to say it's all, some kids are logical and don't do that.
Right.
So,
yeah, for
so
sure.
you can't say all, but it is
Yeah.
very, very common.
Yeah.
So anyways,
Yeah.
but what I feel religion does is it's like a stunted intellectualism. It starts at that right there and then it teaches you to stay there.
Right.
So
instead of learning more.
Yeah, right. It teaches you just to, and I don't see animism as super harmful. I mean, by itself,
Right.
It's kind of like saying spiritual and non-religious. So I mean, but remember, once you buy that bullshit could be true, it actually makes you more vulnerable to more bullshit. Like, oh well, do you know if you put this scented oil or what are they called those? I'm not.
Essential oils.
There you go.
Yeah.
Essential oils. Well, if you get the right essential oil, you can remove cancer or whatever. I don't well, there's people know. I really don't know because I've looked into it. I hear him talk and I just go, give me a break.
Yeah.
And I stop.
That's a thing that some people say. That is a thing that some people
it
say
is?
for
Oh,
sure. Yeah.
I was just throwing a guess out there. I really don't fucking know because
every nonsense thing you can think of, people are out there advocating for it.
Some I wouldn't. There's one person I saw a video and she's like, the moon is a hologram, and I'm like, oh my god.
Are you kidding me? Okay.
Like I said to you before, it is so bizarre to me, Corey. You don't need conspiracies. Capitalists tell us to our fucking face that they're stealing from us.
Yep.
We see it in every fucking paycheck.
Yep.
Every time you can't do fucking shit with your money. Every time you run out of money. The fact that there's fucking things of this payday loans or, where they give you money 2 days in advance, where they just take 25% of your fucking pay.
Yeah.
Or some fucking horrid, evil bullshit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's all right there in the open, but
yeah, right. I mean, why is that so hard? And then anarchists or communists or whatever or socialists try to tell people that are capitalists, hey, and they defend it, and you're like, that's even worse. That's more.
And then they'll believe something like the moon is a hologram.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And then they go for that. And you're
still, why do I even exist? Like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah, but I've taken the steps and tried to break it down so much, and the videos are long, but I break it down. It's actually useful.
Yeah,
watching a whole video of me is not just us rambling and bullshitting for 3 hours.
Right.
I'm actually teaching you. You are learning stuff you cannot learn otherwise, in a sense, for some people, especially. Yeah. And as you and me, my goal is to give it for free. I want to I want to empower people. I want to liberate you. If you grasp there is no God worth believing, and we explain why, and they're the same dumb shit. So you're believing some 8,000, 9,000 year old deity that some fucking person that didn't know fuck about the world and thought that, the ocean was a snake. I mean,
right.
Yeah. And then you hate gays because of it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Or whatever. Hate trans people. You know, or fucking think women are less than because of this stupid fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
That I can show you is fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
Not only in like a skeptic way, but it's like this. I can show you the mythology. I can show you the archaeology, the linguistics.
Yeah.
This is literal nonsense.
Where this actually came from as a belief system. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And that's why I think it's so powerful. And I feel like, I know people think, that my stuff is, too much or too hard. You need to understand. You would be badass as fuck against myths if you understood this shit. How about this too? You can also have compassion because you realize, their fight is stupid because they're really kind of all the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like, oh, well, that dude is. They're like, well, you need to read one of my books or blogs.
Yeah. I suppose.
Yeah, keep reading.
This suggests that the Greeks, Romans, and Indians originated from the common ancestral culture, and that the names Zeus, Jupiter, Dias, and the Germanic Tu, English Tuesday, evolved from the older name Dias Fighter or something. Yeah. which referred to the sky god or to give an English cognate, the divine father, in a Proto-Indo-European religion. An approach that is both historical and comparative was recently proposed by E.J. Michael Witzel. He compares collections of mythologies and reconstructs increasingly older levels parallel to, but not necessarily dependent on, language families. The most prominent common feature is a storyline that extends from the creation of the world and of humans to their end. This feature is found in the northern mythologies of Eurasia and the Americas, Laurasia, while it is missing in the southern mythologies of sub-Saharan Africa, New Guinea, and Australia. Gondwanaland? Mythological phylogenies are also a potentially powerful way to test hypotheses about cross-cultural relationships among folktales.
Okay, so Australia had Indians come in at 3,500 and bring the dingo.
Okay.
They had, I think, 8,000, somebody come in probably relating to southern China. And they brought idea of the rain serpent, probably.
Okay.
Or it could have been, I should say, I think 8, but it could be 9 to 6, and somewhere in there. But because I was thinking, it's harder but the reason I said bring this up is rock art. They have rock art and stuff, so that's how you can sometimes tell, like probably how old something is, and saying in relation to Australia. But then also the Austronesian peoples come in and they bring and I believe that one of those Asian things, probably China, but it could be China and Austronesians bring totemism.
Okay.
In other words, before that, because certainly anything that went to Australia, I think was animism.
Okay.
Just maybe an evolved animism of some kind, but not totemism. Totemism. One of these times, we've already done stuff before. But one of these times, though, I'll really explain totemism and clan together, because because totem is the item,
right?
The thing that it relates to a spiritual kind of concept, and also to clan. Sometimes even like no matter what it is, it could be a piece of wheat or corn, right? Like
okay.
Corn, and then the corn itself, because to give you a concept that is accurate, there really is this going on. There's people that are part of the corn clan, or their mythology says that they actually are people of the corn. They were made. I think the Mayans and Aztecs had that. I'm pretty sure. Like what they say, but it has to do with also. It's the same, very similar to people in the Pueblos, but people in the Pueblos have Nadane in them, and they also have Aztecan in them, in a sense. So, they have an Aztecan and Mayan, and all these really kind of have similar sort of beliefs. Just like, so the Puebloan has 4 worlds. Like, I won't go into all of it because I also don't know it off the top of my head, all of it totally. But there's 4 worlds. Like, I think the first one, they starts in clay. Tries to make people, blows air into them, but they dry out and die or something. Then he tries to make them out of sticks. Humans, I'm talking about humans. Tries to make humans out of sticks or something. I can't, once again, I'm probably bastardizing it, but it's something like this. Make a human out of stick. And then the next one, I think they make it out of something else, or rocks or something, like a pile of rocks. And then they figure out corn. That's it. And then that's how, or something like that. But so it actually still has the clay belief.
Right.
It switches over to a different belief. Anyways,
that's interesting.
But then that has to do with the clan, and anyway. So I was just trying to say is that the item, like the corn, you make like a cob or something like out of stone or wood, not a real cob, but a fake one,
right?
That could be, or even maybe hang a real one. That could be the totem, in a sense. And they have a dance where they dance around the corn dance. They dance, they have it up in the air, and they also hold stalks with corn on it. Still on the stalk, like he'll pull them all off and have one hanging or something. Anyways, my point is, because it's probably like, in a sense, even if they don't say that further, but it's probably a totem. It's relating to how concept. It relates to the clan. It relates to spiritual concepts. So, but totem is more than that too, like can be, because it can also like, relate to sacred and profane. You can touch it, but that person can't. Yeah, a whole bunch of, which then of course bigotry is easily pushed into that, which like I told you, that is not really in animism. Animism cultures don't do this, don't do that as much. Women can get divorced. I mean,
right.
So because once again they understand, like it seems that people own themselves and everybody has rights. I mean, it's pretty crazy, but yeah, I like it.
Yep, for sure.
But so there's different layers to why they're doing certain things. So Africa, though, to me, has stuff come in at I think 30,000 to 20,000, and then has stuff come in again at like 15, and then like 12, and like maybe 10, and then like 8, and like 6, and then like maybe 5 or 4, and then like 3 or something. And I'm talking about from outside Africa coming in. Multiple people act like Africa's pristine and no ideas are shared. I'm like, dude, that thing was like Swiss cheese. Everybody left there, and shitloads of people kept coming back. Different times, different ideas, and different ways. And But just like they said, that's really a lot more on the north, a lot less in the central, and a lot less even less in the south, unless the Europeans who came later and then colonized and fucking killed everybody.
Right.
But before that, in a sense, mythology, I'm talking about indigenous myths, it's different. That's why when you start going south, you get animism.
Yeah,
because they didn't get all this other stuff. Although some parts of eastern coast might have got stuff from Madagascar, which were, of course, Polynesian totemists and shamanists. Anyway, so I don't want to read structural. Don't care.
Okay.
I don't want to read psychoanalysis. I'm never going to probably do it.
Okay.
I want to go to the myths, because that's really what I want you to get. And so go ahead and read creation myths.
Okay. Creation of the earthly realm. A creation myth or cosmogonic myth is a type of cosmogony, a symbolic narrative of how the world began and how people first came to inhabit it. While in popular usage, the term myth often refers to false or fanciful stories, members of cultures often ascribe varying degrees of truth to their creation myths. In the society in which it is told, a creation myth is usually regarded as conveying profound truths, metaphorically, symbolically, historically, or literally. They are commonly,
so they always try to say, "Well, Damien, it's not trying to be literal." Yeah,
sometimes they are. Yeah,
quit lying. Sometimes it is.
Yeah.
Oh, so I'm not supposed to take any part of the Bible literal?
Well, sometimes it is. Yeah. They are commonly, although not always, considered cosmogonical. Can never figure that one out. Myths.
That's fine. Yeah, I don't really care about the words. I care about like what the meaning. What is the plot of all this? How is it connect? I want you to try to get like how to think different, see this stuff, be aware that it's even there to need to see it or whatever.
Right. Yeah, so that is, they describe the order of the cosmos from a state of chaos or amorphousness. Creation myths often share several features. They are often considered sacred accounts and can be found in nearly all known religious traditions.
See right there? This is why we're learning it, because it is almost found in all. So we don't start with deities, because that's not found in all. It's only like if you go to indigenous people, which one of these times we'll do a whole show on that, on indigenous religions and beliefs and what kind of things they have. But they've done study before, and it's only 35% belief out of 35 indigenous cultures around the world. And so it's not high. And I believe in high gods. Maybe they have some spirits, or maybe call them low gods or something, but probably not. But generally they kind of go together, high gods, low gods, because they marry each other. The high god's the father and the low god's the mother. Or they have a mother and father in the sky, but it's the moon and the sun.
Yeah, but they don't all have like a big god kind of thing.
No, they don't. That's what I'm trying to say. Only 35%. And out of that, only 15% even believe that they're active in the world. So it's more like pantheism than it is like theism. So only 15% of the indigenous peoples of the world believe in theism the way most people do. Just understand.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they wouldn't even classify it that. It's because some of that probably is a very loose opinion compared to, like, say, Christians.
Right,
so it's probably closer to spiritual, non-religious, even though they have a deity, because they're like, yeah, we pray to him. It's probably way more like.
But there's not. Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So yeah.
It's not handing dictates down every day on how you live.
Well, that's a moral God. See, you can have that. One of these times, Corey, we're going to bring up that too. We're going to talk about the high gods, low gods, and of course, then the ones that are the moralistic gods, which come later. So in my thinking, sometime around 13,000, I think they started taking maybe totemist animals and making them deities. So I think animals are kind of first. And that's why everything is animals at first. Even like it's a hieroglyphs, animals. It changes later. Like you start adding more people stuff. But really it's animals at first. And because it's more shamanism and it's more totemism. So it relates like, they see the world animistically and totemistically. Animistically that everything is magical. Totemistically that only a few animals matter to us. See, that's not animistic at all. Animistic totally matters. It's like I said, one of these times too, we'll try to do a video on just how they're different, so people can, at least how I see them, so that you can, then when I'm talking about them, you understand like what I'm portraying. And I do know that like a lot of people say, well, there's different kinds of totemism. Yes, just like different kinds of priests and different kinds of religions, or just like. Even though there's 35,000 denomination of Christians, do we have to every time say, well, I don't mean all 35,000 denominations of Christian, right?
Right.
Well, and I don't think it's,
sure.
I know archaeologists do this all the time, especially with shamanism and totemism or even animism. But less with animism, really more with totemism and shamanism. They don't like using those words as much.
Right.
Totemism. They use shamanism some. They use animism, but they also kind of don't like it or trust it or whatever. But when it comes to shamanism, they feel like everyone's forcing that on everybody. And I'm like, well, that's like saying we're forcing priests on everybody. Everyone doesn't call it a priest. I mean, anyway, and so I think they're correct to bring it up. It should be addressed. I think it's past of how people have been bigoted as fuck. And I mean, there was like shaman trials, like witch trials, we talked about with the Sammy, where they literally go to jail and could be killed or whatever, or harmed and or imprisoned or whatever.
I suppose if you're a person who focuses on a specific culture or region, it might be worth saying, well, they don't call their religious leader a shaman or
totally agree. That's or this is what the word is or whatever, not that. So and that's valid, but especially like it's when people like say it about when I talk, I am talking about like the entire world. I'm trying to explain like super vast concepts, and if I don't use words that you guys understand or even kind of, there'll be no one that will understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's right.
It's already hard as fuck. Do you really want me to make it harder?
Do every time I refer to this type of person, do I have to list off 50 different names of what they're called? Or can I just say this?
So, but like I said, I don't feel it's invalid to say that. It is valid to say that, and it is valid for them to address it. Especially, I agree with you. It's less valid to me when I'm talking in a big picture thing. It is way more valid when you're mentioning specific groups.
Yeah.
So because like the Noidi, I think is what the Sami call the shaman. So and I'm probably saying it wrong again, but it's something like that. My point is, it's not shaman.
Right.
Right. So, anyways, go ahead and keep reading.
Sure. They are all stories with a plot and characters who are either deities, human-like figures, or animals who often speak and transform easily. They are often set in a dim and non-specific
By the way,
past.
transform, think of like werewolves, were-tigers, were-birds, whatever.
Right. Yeah. Something that can shift from man to animal. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. They are often set in a dim and non-specific past that historian of religion Mircea Eliade termed in illo tempore, at that time.
Right. So that guy is, if once you start reading myths and stuff, that person is in like shamanism. If you read shamanism, you'll read about him. So, and people have semi-negative opinions. I mean, they like him, and then also kind of don't like some of the stuff. So, because he makes a bunch of statements and claims and does stuff and tries to like figure everything out, but he didn't really have everything when he's trying. So he tried to be Damien, but he didn't have Damien's evidence. So he sounded a little sometimes like Graham Hancock.
Okay.
Because if you miss the evidence part,
yeah,
or you misinterpret the evidence, then you're going to end up like Graham Hancock.
Yeah, so
or at least sounding more like that, put it that way. And then if you have more evidence, then you often sound more like me.
Yeah, for sure.
So my opinion is kind of both things. We should like him when he's correct, and we should address when he's not.
For sure. I mean, that seems fair.
Just making a point. I don't hate the dude. Don't love him either.
Yeah, fair. Creation myths address questions deeply meaningful to the society that shares them, revealing their central worldview and the framework for the self-identity of the culture and individual in a universal context. Creation myths develop...
1 second. In like philosophy debates, Christians love this worldview bullshit. Oh my God. They're like, you have a worldview. And I go, science is not a worldview. It's an accurate assessment of what's going on.
I can even admit that my worldview is naturalistic.
Well, I'm willing to do that. I'm just making a point.
I just don't think that's a bad thing.
No, it's not. But I'm just making a comment that science itself is not a worldview.
Right. Yeah.
It's not a worldview. It presents us with the best information, and that's the fact until we have the information that shows it's not the fact, or it's different, or it's,
Yeah.
That's not a worldview. I agree. You could have a naturalistic worldview, but you could be science and, of course, believe in religion. So you could have an anti-naturalistic worldview.
Yep,
so
that's right.
You're addressing not science, but something else. You address that I do have a naturalistic worldview, and then you go, I support it by science.
Right, exactly.
Oh!
Yeah, exactly.
And knowing layers of things.
Because science isn't a person. It can't have a worldview.
It doesn't. It does. Even as a group, it doesn't have a worldview because science, like what I do, I don't have. That's why my wife goes, why don't you have it more organized? God, you make it hard on Corey and everyone. And I'm like, well, I don't have some like thing preset that's already done. I'm like fucking trying to create the shit here. I'm like flying by the seat of my pants trying to figure out. Sometimes I'm like minutes before we talk, I finish a blog. I mean, many times.
Right.
Or I send it to you 5 times, or whatever.
Yeah, after each revision.
Right, correct.
For sure.
But the point I'm trying to say is that's because I'm really going with facts. So I'm constantly have to, I feel support myself and support ideas because that's, I think, the ethical way to do it.
Yeah, you're constantly updating kind of thing.
Yeah. And so I'm like I said too, I'm going to be writing my book, starting it like rewriting it, whatever, because I already have stuff written, but I need to remove like all the citations and just make it me, which has made me have to work harder and become an expert.
Right.
But now that I've done that, it's about time.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, after a conversation or two with me, Corey, haven't you kind of figured out that maybe I'm an expert?
I would say so. Yep. Yep. This is definitely something you've invested a lot of, like, an expert level of research into.
Right? More than a normal person.
Yeah, absolutely. Way more than a normal
Way
person.
more. And even more than most people that call themselves atheists and say they know what God is. And I'm like, okay, have you addressed the Proto-Indo-European myths? And they're like, what are those? I'm like, okay, so you don't know what God is. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh. Because as soon as you read that and you read it's all sky god, what is it, Corey?
It's all sky god. Yeah.
You know what, though? Real quick, let's click on Wikipedia sky god. Just so, since we're using this term, why don't we just go look it up? Sky god. Or sky father. Do sky father, because that is the sky god. It's simpler that way. It says in comparative mythology. Oh, that's what we're doing.
Yep. Yeah. In comparative mythology, sky father is a term for a recurring concept in polytheistic religions of a sky god who is addressed as a father, often the father of a pantheon, and is often either a reigning or former king of the gods. The concept of sky father may also be taken to include sun gods with similar characteristics, such as Ra. The concept is complementary to an earth mother.
All right, we can go you drop out of there. But you see, like, isn't that like what I've been kind of saying too? It's like it just keeps telling the same story.
Yeah, for sure.
But if you don't know that it does that, like, well, Damien, I think gods were invented because, and I'm like, no. And they're like, you don't know. No one knows. And I'm like, yes, someone knows. And obviously it's not you.
Yeah. Often no one knows just means I don't know.
There you go. And then they profess that with the complete ignorance. Well, I haven't read a book. Well, that doesn't mean there isn't one.
Yeah, that's right. I've never heard of a book that does that.
I've never heard of comparative mythology, Damien. I'm like, okay, well, it's only been around since, I don't know, 1500s or 1700s. I'm not totally sure.
Yeah.
A year or two. I mean, a day or two, or a long fucking time.
Yeah.
Anyways, but my point is that you need to understand this, because when you start to understand this, how could you possibly go back to, like, I was an atheist and I went back. You went back to what? Believing in one of these deities?
Yeah. No,
for somewhat arbitrary reason? Because, well, if you're gonna like be diligent, why not just worship Skyfather?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That would be more accurate. Why fucking worship like a 10 gods removed?
Yeah. I back when I was in the atheist like movement, I was always bothered by that. I used to be an atheist, but now I'm not, kind of nonsense. I was like, then you weren't like me, because it would take a fucking miracle to prove this to me. Like, not just a miracle, but like a miracle that everyone saw all over the world. Like the evidence would have to be insurmountable.
You're correct. And then, like I said, we already know where all of those gods. So what we know for sure is why to give that. So people that want the short version of what I know, here's the good news, everyone. There is no God.
Yeah.
And I know because I looked. So everyone that has a God believes a God that's from this bullshit and connects to Skyfather and whatever.
Yeah.
So, and Earth Mother and all this bullshit we're going to read. So there is no one alive that has stuff outside of this, unless they just made it themselves, which is also what people like to do. Yes, but if you have anything of a world religion of any kind in anywhere, more than likely it is exactly like this or fucking close as shit. So that's why I'm saying, if you want to debunk gods, you have to know about comparative mythology, because if you don't, then you're fumbling around in the dark looking for a light switch that isn't even there, because it's a hanging cord from the ceiling you have to pull on, and you will never know that feeling the walls.
Yeah.
And so you will not find this on your own, in a sense. If you can, it's you have to bump into it with just pure luck.
Yeah.
But so why do that? Like I said, when someone's already done all the work for you, Corey, why do that?
Yep.
They already told you it's Skyfather. You don't even have to keep doing stuff. You're good. Yeah. And if someone says, well, how do we know that? You go, oh, here's a blog.
Here's a blog.
Wikipedia.
Here's a whole bunch of information. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Right. But you can see how that makes it more impactful. We've just debunked all the gods and the people could believe. And so then all you're left with at that point, besides the ones people just make up themselves, but of course they made it up with no evidence, is when they say, well, Damien, that doesn't mean there can't be something God out there. And I'm like, okay, once again, how do I know that the moon is not a hologram? I can't touch the moon. How do I know that, Corey? Because there's no evidence that it is. Yeah. I will not accept fallacies until evidence. No.
And there's a variety of ways that people study these things and can
Correct.
show you.
Which we're showing right here. There's a variety of ways, like comparative mythology, to say that gods are bullshit.
Yeah, that's right.
And then all your myths, the created from clay and everything, like answers in Genesis. Oh, you mean answers in Proto-Indo-European? Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly.
Because that's where you're going to find the answers, fucking Ken Ham. You're going to find it in Proto-Indo-European mythology, because that sounds almost exactly like myth for myth, the shit that you believe practically.
Yeah.
You got the dual deities, Cain and Abel, that one of them killed each other. Yeah, that's what. And then you have the storm god, right? Because God kills the snake. Jesus does. Not Father God. Yeah, kind of like El and his son. You know, the stuff is like ridiculously similar. Yeah. And then the flood myths are all similar. Oh, yeah. And then yeah. Anyways, the flat earth is similar. Yep. That's what you think. Creation myth, modern references.
Yeah. Yeah. Creation myths definitions from modern references. A symbolic narrative of the beginning of the world as understood in a particular tradition and community. Creation myths are of central importance for the valuation of the world, for the orientation of humans in the universe, and for the basic patterns of life and culture. Creation myths tell us how things began. All cultures have creation myths. They are our primary myths, the first stage in what might be called the psychic life of the species. As cultures, we identify ourselves.
I don't believe that shit. Like, what the fuck? Animism jumping in there or being pushed in there? No.
Right, eh?
No. The reason people have these myths is because they're animistic. If you want to have like a reason why a myth would happen. Because if you think animistically, then of course this. And then you have someone just basically explaining the process of what we think about myths. And then it was very few cultures, and then it spread all over the place. And so everybody has a version of these old things that everybody really is thinking it's their own unique, and it's not. It's a unique version of a not unique thing.
Right. Yeah, it's a variation on a theme, I guess.
There you go. That's accurate. Really accurate. But yeah, so the psychic, whatever, what? No.
Yeah. So as cultures, we identify ourselves through the collective dreams we call creation myths or cosmogonies. Creation myths explain in metaphorical terms our sense of who we are in the context of the world, and in so doing, they reveal our real priorities, as well as our real prejudices. Our images of creation say a great deal about who we are.
Yeah, do you see prejudice? Yeah. So just even trying to complete the creation myths, people are like, well, Damien, if we pull away all the religion and we just focus on the core things, and we already understand, people that are thoughtful, that they bring real prejudice either way.
Yeah, that's right.
So, yeah.
And I guess lastly, under that, we have a philosophical and theological elaboration of the primal myth of creation within a religious community. The term myth here refers to the imaginative expression in narrative form of what is experienced or apprehended as basic reality. The term creation refers to the beginning of things, whether by the will and act of a transcendent being, by emanation from some ultimate source, or in any other way.
Right, any other magical, animistically driven way.
Yeah. That's so then
it says religion professor.
Yeah, religion professor Mircea Eliade defined the word myth in terms of creation. Myth narrates a sacred history. It relates an event that took place in primordial time. The
The
fabled
only thing I
time.
would say is he's limited that. Myths are not just limited to primordial time.
Right,
Sometimes myths
right.
can be after that. So, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Everything he says is not like, manna from heaven or whatever.
Right, for sure.
Like, no, I don't agree with that definition.
Limiting to that primordial time, eh?
Right. Anyways, so go ahead.
The fabled time of the beginnings. In other words, myth tells how, through the deeds of supernatural beings, a reality came into existence, be it the whole of reality, the cosmos, or only a fragment of reality, an island, a species of plant, a particular kind of human behavior, an institution. Creation myth definitions from modern references. A symbolic narrative of the beginning of the world as understood in a particular tradition and community. Creation myths are of central importance for the valuation of the world, for the orientation of humans in the universe, and for the basic patterns of life and culture. Creation myths tell us how things began. All cultures have creation
Oh, I
myths.
have it twice, don't I?
Oh, do you? Is that the exact same?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
It
it is.
does. It
Oh,
does appear to be.
Speaking of need to edit, right? I need to take that part out. I got it twice. What the heck? All right. Go to mythologies. Have applied various.
Yeah. So mythologists have applied various schemes to classify creation myths found throughout human cultures. Eliade and his colleagues, Charles Long, developed a classification based on some common motifs that reappear in stories the world over. The classification identifies 5 basic types. Creation ex nihilo, in which the creation is through the thought, word, dream, or bodily secretions of a divine being. Earth diver,
That
creation
sounds
and
great, doesn't it? Bodily secretion.
right, the bodily
Well,
secretions.
because one of them is, like, I think, jacking off.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But I know that, like, one of the myths in South America, I think it is, they have a belief that the two brothers, once again, the twins,
Right.
and one of them jacked off on his thigh, and it grew. It got pregnant. His thigh got pregnant, and then that's how the first people came, or something like
Okay.
that. You're
Interesting.
like, what the fuck?
I don't believe that.
Like,
That
okay,
seems weird.
but anyways, I'm just saying. So that's what I mean to give you a reference that
Right. No, that's cool. So then Earth diver creation, in which a diver, usually a bird or amphibian, sent by a creator, plunges to the seabed through a primordial ocean to bring up sand or mud, which develops into a terrestrial world. Emergence
Corey's
myth.
like, wait a minute, we've read about that.
I've never heard of Earth diver at all. I don't know.
Earth diver, what is that?
What is that one? I don't think I've ever heard of such a thing. Emergence myths, in which progenitors pass through a series of worlds and metamorphoses until reaching the present world.
Remember, I told you about fourth world. I think Aztecs, or I should say, I think Mesoamerica and Pueblos both have that. I think.
Right.
There might even be a few other in the Americas that have that. I don't know that I think anyone else but the Americas has that.
Okay.
I'm thinking, in my personal, I think it ends with the corn. So, possibly, I'd have to look at that pattern again, but because I wasn't trying. Because what I think it is, probably there was an older myth like the clay. Because remember, it starts, or at least one of them out of the 4, one of them is clay.
Right.
But they all fail for some reason. Then the corn is a success or something like that. So I think it's basically showing a new evolution. Corn changed. Corn came, and then we changed.
Right.
In a sense. But we still remember that our people were built from clay.
Yeah, it was an attempt, but that's not the one that worked. This is the one that worked.
See? Right. I'm just saying, but they're still acknowledging that we used to believe that it was clay, or that something in the world, used to think this. But my point is, I'm saying is, I have a feeling that that's just a way of saying answers in Genesis.
Yeah.
Here, this new myth explains the old myth. It explains all the myths, and everything is great. And just believe the myths and let's go.
Yeah, for sure. Read this one book.
One book.
Creation by the dismemberment of a primordial being.
Right, which happens in some of them with a cow, where they cut up the two brothers. They'll kill a cow sometimes as a sacrifice. Okay. The first sacrifice, and that also is what Mithras was about. Killing the cow and whatever. And then Romans, even a Mithra religion, they would like put a grate, and you would go underground in like a pit, and you'd be down there, and they'll slaughter the bull, and blood just rains
over top of you. Yeah, I think I've heard of something like that before too.
Anyways, there's other stuff too, but I'm not going to go into all that. But my point is, I'm just saying, so that the dismemberment, it's a sacred sacrifice, which is the first sacrifice that you have to keep doing
in order to keep things going, kind of thing.
Man, you're quick, Corey. Corey's like, yeah, I've been studying creative or comparative mythology for about, I don't know, as long as I've been talking to Damien.
Yeah, that's right, roughly. I've almost completed a 4-year course at this point.
Does it feel like that? You're like,
sometimes
yes, it does. I feel like I'm in college.
Every 2 weeks, I do a 3-hour class. Sometimes there's homework. Yep, sure.
But hey, at least it feels like it is a class and not just wasted fucking time.
Oh no. I'm definitely learning stuff. Like that's the thing. Like it's not like we do not spend this time and I walk away with no information having entered my brain.
No, sure. and like I said, this is only talking about it. Wait till we get into the myths and you start becoming acquainted. Dude, you won't be able to hear them talk about any myth. And your brain will go, oh yeah, that has to do with the Proto-Indo-European myth about the two brothers. Yeah, the divine, the divine twins. Oh, that's a Sky Father,
right?
Oh, Earth Mother. That's what you. Okay. Oh, the Moon God. Oh, whatever. Anyways, I'm just saying you'll start to, Oh, I understand that. I understand that. Oh yeah, that relates to that. And then you're. Well, I mean, you may not be like a guest like me because I've done fuck tons of study, but right? You're certainly gonna feel. Yeah, this is all bullshit, and feel pretty confident about it.
Yeah.
Because you notice, even as an atheist, haven't you become more confident as an atheist the more we keep talking?
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. Like, I mean, I guess I was always kind of confident in a sense, but I didn't have the historical basis. I didn't have the, the sources, the information where it came from, kind of thing. So, yeah, got lots to back it up now for sure.
Right? So when they go, well, Jesus is special, we're like, okay, Jesus is the son of a sky god.
Yeah.
But go look up Sky Fathers. Not you personally. I'm saying you tell them. Yeah, go do some study on your own. Don't trust me. Just go look.
Yeah, exactly. I think we have one more list of creation myths, which is the creation by the splitting or ordering of a primordial unity, such as the cracking of a cosmic egg or a bringing order from chaos.
Eggs? Oh, eggs. Of course, like we never talked about the cosmic egg.
There's no such thing.
But isn't it funny when you start reading all this and you're like, man, we've talked about all this, right?
Yeah. There's when discussing other things, we always touch on something in here. That's
correct. So I keep teaching you comparative mythology without making that the main focus.
Right.
Because that's super important. That's why I'm like, because once you grasp this, it's all really connected and similar. How could you possibly believe only one is true?
Right.
I mean, it just becomes fucking like, are you stupid?
How did you pick that one that has to be true and reject all the other ones that look exactly the same or have similar origins? Like, I don't know how you do it. But
anyways, someone's obviously doing it, but I don't think they've read enough of comparative mythology. But go ahead and read Primal Chaos.
All right, Primordial Chaos. So let's see. Chaos, ancient Greek, Romanized chaos, aka primordial chaos or primordial void, is the mythological void state preceding the creation of the universe or the cosmos in Greek creation myths. In Christian theology, the same term is used to refer to the gap or the abyss created by the separation of heaven and earth. In Norse mythology, Ginnungagap means, I guess, in Old Norse, gaping abyss or yawning void, is the primordial void mentioned in the word that I cannot even try to pronounce. The Edaic text recording Norse cosmogony.
Right. And so you already see that Christian isn't even special, and we haven't hardly even started. We haven't even got to creation myths. We're just talking about the beginning of what's not there.
Right.
So when we just even crack into the beginning of the myth, which starts with in the beginning, that's what we just did. We just did that. The beginning is what happens before creation.
Yeah.
This is it.
There was nothing, and then or
right.
There was a void, and then
right. But so you see, you can't even. It's already, as I said, Christianity's not special.
Yeah.
And they proved it by adding it to the whole bunch of them agree with the same thing.
Yeah, that's right.
So before we even get to the myths, we already agree that Christianity is not even special, and we haven't even got to the gods or creation or anything.
That's right. It's just one of the many versions of this.
And I say, to me, Christianity is a fifth removed, at least, generation of Proto-Indo-European. In a sense. It's not direct Proto-Indo-European, but it's very related. People are like, oh, I don't know, Damien. I'm like, okay, let's stop for a second. Where did Proto-Indo-European originate? Originated in the South Cossacks. Where did the Jews originate? Well, the Jews, the Palestinians, and Lebanese originate in the South Cossacks. Oh, you mean the literal fucking heartland of Proto-Indo-European. And then they have Proto-Indo-European seeming religion. Wonder if there's any relation that they started in the Proto-Indo-European heartland. It is a shocker if it was different.
Yeah,
not
for sure.
same.
Yeah, that's right.
Because it was the Kirkle-Axel culture who went down and into Israel and to Lebanon and Palestine, and they became the Canaanites. And then the Canaanites split and became Lebanese, and then the other two were one people at one time, Palestine, not Lebanon. I'm talking about Palestine were one people that then split, and each of them has had non-Palestinian entries of DNA and culture. So, I mean, that's why none of them are pure, okay?
Yeah.
The only ones that are close are Lebanese, which is even to me worse when Israel attacks them, since they are literally Canaanites.
Right.
So when you're like, so when they're like, oh, well, we want to take some part of South Lebanon, I'm like, in my worldview, really, to solve the Palestinian and Israeli problem, my solution, let's give it all to Lebanon.
Yeah.
Then you can have sectors that are Hebrew or Jewish, and you can have sectors that are, Palestinian or whatever. But really, because the only one with the real DNA to back up the right to all of that land is, in a sense, the people, the ancestors, which are Lebanese to me.
Right.
Because they literally have the DNA.
Yeah.
They literally are the people, in a sense. Now, I'm not saying that let's do that. I'm just making a comment. If we're going to talk about who I think actually should have the area, that's what I think.
Right. Yeah.
And you're going, Damien, no one asked your damn opinion.
Well, yeah. I think my first thought actually was like, I wonder if they actually know that on some level. And that's
I doubt
part of, like, because they're targeting the hell out of Lebanon right now.
There's what now?
Like Israel is targeting the hell out of Lebanon. I know
that. Which every time it does, I even though what they're doing to the Palestinians is fucked as hell, I find it, not that they're doing more damage, but more, what's the right word? Not psychologically. ethnically fucked. How's that? It's more ethnically fucked to attack the Lebanese. Really fucked.
Yeah.
And then especially saying that part of the Lebanese land, who are the original indigenous, you're saying that their land is yours. And I'm like, you're kind of like 50% indigenous. Those are like 90-something%, 93,
right.
You know, like almost 100%, like indigenous. Like to not call them indigenous is just stupid.
Yeah, for sure.
They literally are. Anyway, my point is, I know no one wants my opinion, but I was just saying, if you're going to fight like who ethnic wise, who has the purest whatever, well then now you know. Now, do Lebanese know this? I don't know. I would, if I was Lebanese, I would think I would, but there's a lot of people that don't even know American history, don't know fucking anything. There's a lot of even people that call themselves socialists don't know shit about any of it.
Yeah,
and they're wrong. And there's people that are anarchists that say shit, and I'm like, do you even know what anarchist fucking is? Like,
for sure.
Read something, dude.
Yeah.
So
the internet is not a good place for information in some ways.
So I know that I'm just saying. Well, and also, what is Israel going to tell people that Lebanese are the
real indigenous
ethnic,
people?
you know, right to the land? Are they going to say that? You think so? I don't think so.
No.
I think America is going to make sure we're understanding that Lebanese really are the ethnic rights to the land.
Yeah, they'll never say that.
Right? You get what I'm saying? That's not going to happen, you know. And then, of course, a lot of people who are Palestine only are not going to say Lebanese are the real indigenous and have the highest rights to the land. I'm not saying that Palestinians don't, or even Israelis in some smaller portion don't. Right. But to say that Lebanese don't is ludicrous.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
for sure.
Anyways.
Okay.
Right on. Are you having fun yet? I mean, is it any different than doing the in a sense the archaeology?
It depends on, because some of the archaeology was pretty fun too, but like some of it gets dry, right? But so far this is I'm enjoying this one.
Well, great. Sure. Well, I figured that this is probably more approachable for people too, because everyone kind of knows myths.
Yeah.
You know. Where everybody doesn't know archaeology.
Right. Yeah. It's I guess it depends on like the way people are coming at it, right? I think atheists, like, which is probably a lot of people that follow you are atheists. And
probably, but I do by the way, I more than a regular atheist. I don't know, I haven't really paid that much attention on thing, but I used to pay attention on what was it? LinkedIn before I got fucking banned.
Oh, yeah.
And I would say I had about 60-40. I had 60% people that were not atheists.
Interesting.
People said they really like how kind I am. They really like, you know, how much I talk not just about debunking religion, but I actually give like all these myths, all this information. Right. And archaeology. So it's interesting to them, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
And also, as you know, I don't attack them.
Yeah.
Because that's not actually, I would like them to follow me so they can learn stuff.
Yep.
So but like I told you, I don't just do that with religion. I do that with politics too.
Yeah.
As long as human rights are you know supported by it, then I'm fine. If you think like fuckers that go, well, I don't believe in trans right. I don't argue. I block those fuckers.
Yeah. I had somebody on my YouTube channel comment on one of my shorts, trying to deny the genocide that's going on in Gaza.
Yeah, I just
remove that. I don't play that shit. I'm not going to debate you. I'm not going to play with the word genocide as you know. I'm just deleting your comment and blocking you from the channel. Like that's it.
So I'm just making a comment. When I say I'm open as long as you're a good person.
Yeah.
I will not deal with fucking not good people. I don't give a fuck if you're an atheist. I don't care if you're an atheist, socialist, anarchist. If you're a fucking piece of fucking human garbage, fuck off.
That's right. Because there are people who are abusers who call themselves those things, right?
Yep.
Not everybody who calls themselves a socialist or an anarchist lives up to the ideals. Yeah, that's right. So
So
are you trying to live up to good
a lot
ideal?
are.
Yeah.
A huger portion than certain, I think, more anarchists really are. One's not that have some like pop anarchism or some bullshit, just like, because they like punk music or something,
Right, which is a thing too.
Well, no, and I'm not saying, but my point is, it's still a semi-good. I don't think it's terrible. Some people think it's worthless. I don't think it's worthless. I just don't think it's great.
Yeah.
It's limited. How about that's a better word? It's
limited. Yeah.
It's limited. It's certainly not like my anarchism, where we do all this freaking class analysis and all this hierarchy analysis and yeah. So mine's a lot more.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. There's a theoretical framework to your anarchism, and there isn't to some people's.
So. Right, there isn't. And not that I think that everyone has to, because I think you don't even need it. The framework can be as simple as we all own ourselves.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Right? It can be simple.
But that is a framework.
So it is a framework. And it actually is a pretty effective one, really. It applies like a web to almost everything.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you can pretty much apply that to any form of oppression, right?
You can, really. And you can almost make morality straight out of that. I mean, it's pretty fucking great. And the only thing is that this is what people do. They go, yeah, but that's my kid. And I go, see, it's not your kid. It's a kid.
Yeah, it's a kid.
Parent.
Yeah, that's right.
Have no ownership.
Yeah, exactly. You don't own that child. This is the entire parents' rights movement is like something that, you gotta fight against in that sense.
Yeah, well, like I say, it's simple though. It does. I go back to what is principle number one? Everyone owns themselves. Well, is a child a person? Well, yes. Well, then guess the fuck what? They own themselves.
Yeah.
When does that start? Birth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I answered the question. You wanted a simple answer? I just gave you a simple fucking answer right there. Birth.
Very straightforward, actually. Yeah, that's right.
So at no time between birth and adulthood can you molest them. No time.
No time. Yeah. At no time are you able to abuse them. And at no time are you able to do stuff to their body against their will.
Right. Exactly. So
yeah,
it's real simple to me, but of course we already talked about that. But
yes, we have,
many times. But so I want you to, if we can, I would like to. You can, if you read down and we get to cosmic egg, we're stopping there. Because I really just want to talk about the two primordial things. The one is what happened before there's nothing, and then the first something, which was water. I want to just deal with those two things, and that's it. I know there's a lot. Just keep reading until we've timed out or whatever, or told it down. But I'm saying if you get to cosmic egg, no matter what time that is, we're done.
Okay. So I'm on Namu.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Which is the primordial water. That name is just the Sumerian deity of the primordial water. Just so you understand. Okay. So the versus primordial, think of it this way. Number one is primordial nothingness.
Right.
Number two is primordial water. And then we're not going to, in a sense, learn anything else with this, because those are all separate subjects.
Okay. So Namu, also read Nama or read Nama, was a Mesopotamian goddess regarded as a creator deity in the local theology of Eridu. Eridu was a Sumerian city located at Tel Abu Shahrain, an archaeological site in southern Mesopotamia. It is located in Di-Kar Governorate.
By the way, Eridu is probably where the Bible gets the myth of the clay. Probably where the Bible gets the sky god in long run, or at least it influenced version, because everything's really here. And also the serpent that has to be fought, and also the deluge, because this thing makes the deluge. Remember, Namu is being held by the firmament, and then the firmament breaks, and Namu goes everywhere and floods the earth. See what I'm saying? I'm trying to help you grasp kind of like what to understand this. So, because I think it helps, and all of that happens first at Eridu, like 6,000-7,000 years ago.
Right.
So, Corey, we can say that the Bible's mythology is about 6,000 or 7,000 years ago, and it relates to Eridu. And Eridu comes, in a sense, has influence from the people from the Cossack Mountains who were Proto-Indo-European. So that's why the mythology sounds the same.
There we go. Yeah. So Eridu is traditionally believed to be the earliest city in southern Mesopotamia based on the Sumerian king list. Located 12 kilometers southwest of the ancient site of Ur, Eridu was the southernmost of a conglomeration of Sumerian cities that grew around temples, almost in sight of one another. The city gods of Eridu were
and they became city-states, which were states. They're just a little small, like statedom or chiefdom or kind of thing.
Okay.
But they're still, in a sense, states. So statism is about 5,000 years ago for anarchists that are wondering. That's how long statism is since. But statism is a branch, to me, or an evolved version of chieftains. And kings are just a chieftain that evolved. That's it.
Right.
To me, something like that.
Yeah. Seems.
Yeah. Just so people can understand what we're talking about.
Okay. So the city gods of Eridu were Enki and his consort Damkina. Enki, later known as Ea, was later considered to have founded the city. His temple was called Abzu, as Enki was believed to live in Abzu, an aquifer from which all life was believed to stem.
Say, pause for a second. This stuff can be confusing. So he is living in this place where everything happens.
Right.
In other words, in a sense, he's in the place of nothingness or whatever, and then everything happens from that point. And this goes back to with Muhammad. The reason that the Muslims like the stuff in Jerusalem is because supposedly Muhammad ascended into heaven from that place. So because of that, I mean, there's other reasons too, but that's one of the big reasons. And so because of that place, so that's like they're saying there, from that place, all this stuff happens. So they're even more trying to help you grasp that place matters. Well, we know it matters because people want to fight for, Palestine or Israel or Lebanon or any of these, whatever states in general. Versus the anarchists, we see the bigger picture. All this is a state problem. Beyond everything, all the other problems is an extra problem that we shouldn't even have states. Period. This is not a healthy concept. Because this is one of the things people understand. Just real quick, because for me as an anarchist, especially one that's educated in all this, about different countries. To me, you don't get that what a state does is it wants to make everything the same. When we talk about Americans, we don't go American, but a version from Florida. We don't go American from Washington. Well, we know those two are fucking different.
But the state doesn't want them to be different.
Right? Washington, but they don't want us to be. But Washington, they're like, walking the streets and blocking the streets all the time for anti-fascist stuff. Yeah. Right? Here in Florida, they're blocking the streets, but it's the KKK and the fucking Nazis.
Right.
So it's not the same fucking shit.
Yeah.
Leftists up there and rightists as fuck over here. So why don't we do that, right? But actually, the concept is we're Americans, right, or Canadians. But what it really does, the harm of this is it takes every other culture and makes them identical, or it tries to. So its goal is actually not like America says, "Oh, we're the melting pot of the world." Melting pot as long as the end result is one kind of chocolate, white chocolate.
Yeah, that's great. I was just going to say, this is something that I'm currently reading about in the book, Seeing Like a State by James C. Scott. Very, very dry book, but this is kind of the point, is that states want to fucking make everything the same and fit it into boxes.
I'm just showing you a way that it's harmful, that people never, I feel like not enough people put it that way, at least. I have to also admit, I don't read any anarchist shit or any socialist stuff. So Maybe they do say stuff. And I just don't hear people talk about it. Let's put it that way.
Yep, fair.
So, but to me, like I said, I see this oppression that takes all the languages, because there's varied language. Imagine 3,000 miles. You don't think there should be more languages than one? Seriously. Come on.
Yeah.
Right. So it starts with this completely fucked thing of multiple, just like, remember, if you ever, I've showed you before. In fact, let me show you just now so we can look at it and show everybody the page, because I like to, I know that I know things, and maybe even you know now, but other people may not know what I'm talking about. I'm going to show you a thing of these are all the languages, families, not each individual. So it's actually even bigger than that, or many more varied than that, I should say. I'm going to find it. It's all the languages of the Americas. I'm just going to show you. And now it's only one. It's literally oppression. It's fucking. I'm trying to find it. Where is it? I know even as anarchist, I'm sure it makes sense as fuck what I'm talking about.
Yep. Yep, makes perfect sense to me.
But it's something I really feel like it's a massive harm, and everybody doesn't even acknowledge it. I'm like,
right,
dude, it's massive as fuck. It's harmful as shit.
Okay, there it is.
They go to the thing, right? So you see that even though there's big families, there still is a whole bunch.
Yep.
It still would make no sense to have only one language. Do you see that? Not in Canada, not anywhere. And then South America too. I'm just saying, but we'll get out of this. I just wanted to show you that.
Yep. No, I appreciate that.
Right. So you get what I'm trying to say. And that's just language. How about our culture ideas? How about ways of doing things? They want us all to kind of think the way and do that. We get education. Education is supposed to be, enlightening, but instead it becomes trapping.
Yeah.
It becomes in a sense, our own lack of freedom.
Yeah.
Not the other way around. When education should be freedom. It should inspire us. It should release us. But see, they don't teach us to release us. They teach us to behave.
Yeah.
They teach us to be the same, to wait our fucking turn, to only ask appropriate questions, to only ask appropriate authorities, to only accept the answers that we're given. I mean, it just anyway. So these people are like, well, do you like school? Yes. Do you like the way that America runs school? Fuck no.
Yeah. I deeply, deeply value education.
Deeply value education.
I do not value the way that schools are set up to make good little workers who do as they're told.
Oppressed people that are the people that are happy with oppression. Not cool to me at all.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I'm just showing to you that. So as a state is more than just in a sense what it does or doesn't do. It actually, the whole concept is the limit of individualism, the crushing that everyone is supposed to be this thing. And every time you don't do something, well, that's un-American, right?
Right.
That's not Canadian, or what I'm just,
Yep.
My point is, I'm saying is that, because you're supposed to follow the rules.
Yeah. Even the search for a Canadian identity, because there it is a thing, like people are looking for a Canadian identity. And that is, it's wrong. It's wrong to do that. Right? I guess is what I'm trying to say. We are not hockey and Tim Hortons, and that's even just consumerism. Like that's not even
right. I know, but you're getting what I'm trying to say. It's oppression is so to the core of what we think we are.
Yeah,
we don't get how oppressive it is.
Yeah, that's right.
It's fucking squishing us in this little box. Now it's easier for someone like me who's intersex and doesn't want to be put in a fucking box. My gender and everything, and then because of my life, I didn't want to listen to people, and it was
right.
And I was constantly being forced into religion and everything. Anyway, so my point is, for me, is I got free, and I feel like that when people become free and enlightened, a truly enlightened person wants to enlighten others.
Yeah.
And so that's what I feel like we're doing here, and we have been doing. And I also, like I told you, why, even though I do want to focus on archaeology, I do want to focus on myths, I'm always going to talk anarchism, because that's also one of my goals is really, like I told the archaeologists, I said, I really hope people watch all of our stuff and become an anarchist.
I think that a person who listens to what we say openly would, generally.
But I'm just saying it's a goal. And so I feel like some people think that, that I'm not doing anarchist activism. The fuck I'm not.
Right. Yeah.
I constantly am. Because
it's funny. Yeah. I was just going to say, yeah, it's funny because any anarchist activist I know wouldn't say that. Like, because it takes all different types of things to make the world the way we want it.
Which is why I love anarchism, because I totally know that that's not only an accidental byproduct of humans. That should be our goal.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be our goal to be fucking plastic and a whole bunch of people 100% the same. So I said states are fucking gross just on that alone. In fact, they force you. If I draw the line a little bit higher, a little bit lower, you all got to still be the same. So if we go into and we take over Mexico, we'll all just be Americans. And if we go and give that back and we give less America, then it'll only be us, and we won't give a fuck about those people anymore.
Right.
I mean, it's vile to me. Yeah. I remember when I was in San Diego, I went down to Mexico and I gave money and food and stickers to the kids and toys, and then spent time with them. See, I told you before about when I give food to the or I have not. It's been a while, but when I give food like at a food pantry or something, or to homeless, which I've done several times, and I've also given money so other people can do that. But I like to also give myself. Mm-hmm. I sit down and talk to them and show them they matter. Not just enough to give food, but enough to give my humanity to them and remind them that they have a value humanity that I value. And I'm telling you, I had this one guy cry and he goes, I sleep under the bridge. And I go, there's nothing unethical about that. Nothing. There's nothing shameful about that.
Yeah. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with you.
I'm just saying, so it allows people to really feel okay, good.
Yeah.
Appreciated, acknowledged. The thing that us humans like, to be acknowledged, to be appreciated, but I feel like that we just throw things at the homeless or whatever, or poor people, and we're like, oh, why aren't you guys happy now?
Yeah.
What you really should do is go and show them you care.
Yeah.
And so I'd say but it's also really hard when you do that, because then you leave, and like when I left in Mexico, and this kid goes, I'm coming with you. And it's
hard.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And the fact that I got back and some fucker goes, what the fuck are you doing? There's kids that need help in America. I don't even understand that, Corey.
Yeah.
What the fuck does a line on the fucking map do to anything?
No.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Kids
you are putting me down for helping a child in a fucking orphanage that has no presence, has no food, almost no parents, no one to care. And you're putting me down for doing that?
Yeah.
Fucking
nonsense. Yeah, no, it's nonsense.
And you think that statism is healthy?
Right.
Because that's statism.
Yep.
That says there was a line that I don't have to care no more. That's on Mexico's side.
Exactly.
Fuck you. It's like fucking 50 miles away from where I lived. I don't know. New York was like 3,500 or whatever. I'm supposed to somehow feel more connected to New Yorkers than not connected to 50 miles away. Yeah. I as an anarchist, I don't even understand. I don't. It's gross. It's sick. That's why I'm saying there's this sick thing that it does, states that do that that people don't even grasp. Anyways,
that's one of those. Yeah, that's one of those things that when we say borders are violence, that's part of what we mean.
Yeah. That someone wouldn't be cared for that's closer to me, but they're not in the same state. So
yeah, that's right. They're outside of the borders you're supposed to care about somehow.
Right. Which, yeah. How do you do that as an ethical person? Seriously. But I don't know. I guess I'm weird. I'm just this crazy anarchist that cares about people or something.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, for sure. But I guess.
Yeah, keep reading.
So according to Sumerian temple hymns, another name for the temple of Ea Enki was called Esira. Eridu is one of the earliest settlements in the region, founded circa 5400 BCE. During the
Which
early
is 7,000 years ago.
Right, eh? Yeah. During the early Ubaid period. At that time, close to the Persian Gulf, near the mouth of the Euphrates River, though in modern times, about 90 miles inland.
See, that's the other thing people don't realize, too, is that reality has changed.
Yeah, that's right. Rivers recede. Yeah,
yeah,
waters
80 fucking miles. Is that what it said?
Yeah, 90 miles.
That is a fucking far away. The fucking ocean used to be 90 miles more in. Holy fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, because everyone thinks like, well, it's not like that now. Like,
yeah. Excavation has shown that the city was founded on a virgin sand dune site with no previous habitation. With possible breaks in occupation in the early dynastic III and the Akkadian Empire periods, the city was inhabited up to the Neo-Babylonian, though in later times it was primarily a cultic site. According to the excavators, construction of the Ur-3 ziggurat and associated buildings was preceded by the destruction of preceding construction, and its use was as leveling fill, so no remains from that time were found. At a small mound 1 kilometer north of Eridu, two early dynastic III palaces were found with an enclosure wall. The palaces measured 45 meters by 65 meters with 2.6 meter wide walls and were constructed in the early dynastic period method of plano-convex bricks laid in a herringbone fashion. At nearby,
the kind of detail they know, and people say like, well, they don't know anything about the past.
Right. Yeah. They not only do they have all the measurements, but they also know the style of brick.
Right.
And the way they were laid out.
But I would say that probably after talking to me a lot, you probably already would have assumed that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It doesn't surprise me at this point that they know this level of detail. Yeah. At nearby Ur, there was a temple of Ishtar of Eridu built by Lagash ruler Ur-Baba, and a sanctuary of Inanna of Eridu built by Ur-3 ruler Ur-Nammu.
And by the way, Inanna is the queen of heaven that rules with, of course, the king of heaven. You know.
Right.
You know, sky gods and sky mother. So.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, no. Just the basics.
Yeah. Well, it is kind of the basics.
It really is.
Yeah, see, right.
But now you know that. Isn't that awesome? You don't believe me. You fucking know that.
Yeah, for sure. Ur-Nammu also recorded building a temple of Ishtar of Eridu at Ur, which is
by the way, Ishtar is a version of Inanna. So same deity. Same deity, but I think one's Sumerian, one's Babylonian. Is just different name. It really doesn't mean. It literally is the same deity,
right?
Or very close. Let's put it that way. They give it their own flair, but yeah, it's
right. Yeah. So the temple of Ishtar at Eridu at Ur, which is assumed to have been a rebuild, one of the religious quarters of Babylon, containing the Asagel Temple and the Temple of Anu-Nin-Tum, among others, was also named Eridu. In some, but not all versions of the Sumerian king list, Eridu is the first of 5 cities where kingship was received before a flood came over the land.
Okay, so pause for a second.
Yeah.
Besides that relating to the Bible flood and Eridu, like I told you, you also need to understand this is the first city that had what?
King.
Yeah. So when an anarchist cares about when the first king was, Corey's like, yeah, I kind of know, Eridu.
Right.
Yeah. Well, how do you know? I read the king's list.
The Sumerian king list.
The king of Eridu. I read a book, so yeah.
I've learned this.
Yeah. So where did it start, Corey? Where did the Bible's mythology start? Eridu. Where did the first king start, Corey? Eridu. Should an anarchist or an atheist care about Eridu? Are you not listening? It's the first king, and it's the first religion place where the Bible 100%, or 100%, 80% relates to. So not knowing about Eridu is a failure, because this literally is an important thing. This is the first king, and they're telling you it is. And it's also, like I'm telling you, relates to the flood, and the Bible, and several myth parts are in there.
Right. So the list mentions two rulers of Eridu from the early dynastic period, Alulim and Alalgar. In the flood myth tablet found in Ur, how Eridu and Alulim were chosen by gods as first city and first priest king is described in more detail.
Right. Yeah, and it's so there's another thing we talked about before is priest kings. They're not. This is what it reminds me of. People are like, well, Damien, now they're trying to force religion and government together. And I'm like, that is how it started.
Yeah, that's right.
So all anarchists will love this. States are a branch of religion that had been taken over and controlled by the elite. That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
So also atheists should know this, because this is when they usually talk about, because they go, well, myths are just because people want power. Well, from Eridu on, maybe.
Yeah.
So 7,000 down.
Yeah.
Maybe. But before that, which Corey knows now just a little bit beyond 7,000. He knows that's not true.
Right. Yeah.
So when atheists are like, oh, religion is made to control people, you're like, Eridu and down.
Yeah. Yeah. For the last 7,000 or so years.
There you go. Then if you said that, I would go, okay, then I agree. Same with capitalism. Capitalism is under 7,000. So if you start telling me that it's natural to humans, you're full of shit.
Right. Yeah. No, it's not inherent in humans. It's only been less than 7,000 years.
No more inherent in humans than kings are.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, both were forced.
Yeah. And I think, obviously for you and I, we acknowledge there's a vast swath of human history. There's like 250,000 or 300,000 years or something. So 7,000 years is not that long, actually.
Yeah, we try to figure out what percentage that is with the calculator.
Yeah.
I'm not very good at math, so someone else do that.
Yeah. Post it in the comments on this video.
I'm very good at thinking. Math. No.
I'm sure I could do it with a calculator, but yeah.
You probably still could do math better than me. I really fucking suck at math. I don't know, but it's just that opposite when it comes to like reason and thinking. I've almost read no philosophy, and yet I can like beat philosophers.
Right.
Because it's so fucking natural to me. It's like critical thinking is like almost something that just seems like, how do you not think this way?
It's roughly 2%, almost 2.5%.
Okay, so nothing. And I'm going to say that from now on. So capitalism in the world history to Damien is only 2% of our history.
Yeah.
So to tell me that it somehow is inherent to us is a fucking joke.
Yeah, that's right.
And same with kings. To say that kings are inherent to us and our hierarchy, which of course relates to kings and all this, that somehow we have to keep this shit like, no. But it's only been 2% of our fucking history. The fuck do we need to know?
Yeah. Wrong.
But anyways, this shows, so the first city and the first thing was not king, but priest king. There's a name for a priest king in Egypt. It's called a pharaoh.
Right.
Corey's like, I may have heard that before.
I believe I've heard that, yes.
Yeah.
In Sumerian mythology, Eridu was the home of the Abzu temple of the god Enki, the Sumerian counterpart.
So click on Abzu. What's Abzu?
Abzu.
So, I mean, that way you know what we're talking about.
Go back.
What is Abzu?
Tab. There we go.
It's deep
The
water,
Abzu,
right? Water deep.
Yeah. Is the name for fresh water from the underground aquifers, which was given a religious fertilizing quality in ancient Near Eastern cosmology.
Right. And it says, it is believed that all lakes, springs, rivers, fountains, rain, and even the blood.
Oh, what? That? A flood?
Yeah. Originated from who?
The
Abzu.
Yeah.
So, and then if you read just a little further, the goddess Nidsag, she is the ocean, right? And the salty water. Anyways. So, I know they have these beliefs, and it's just animism as hell. But I've tried to go back. But but you see how when you start to know these terms, then you're like, oh, okay, so I see what they're saying.
Right. Yeah, so the Abzu temple of the god Enki is like the water
Deep
temple.
Water, right? Fresh water, deep fresh water temple of the god of water.
Right.
And storms and thunder and earthquakes.
Right. Enki, the Sumerian counterpart of the Akkadian god Ea, god of deep water.
A lot of times when they say counterpart, they either
they mean it's the same thing, right? Just different.
Or you're right, yeah. They're trying to help you say, yeah, all this, once again, like as I'm saying, yeah, all this is kind of just different names for sort of the same fucking myth.
Yeah. And when it's so closely, same regions, so closely related, it's pretty hard to separate them.
Yeah, right. But as I've seen it show you, but even when you go further, it's still really kind of connected. Once you, as I said, Corey, once you grasp this, I seriously think it's going to be like Twilight Zone of how you see. When you read all these myths, these different ones in 15 different videos, I'm telling you, dude, you are going to be like feel like you're a religious scholar.
Right.
Corey's like, Damien, I already feel that way.
No.
You feel more that way.
I feel more that way.
I mean, now if people say, well, you don't even know about sky gods, Corey's like, yes, I do. You mean the Sky Father? Always usually with the Earth Mother?
Yep.
Oh. And he has a daughter called the Dawn? Oh, and there's 2 brothers? Oh, yeah.
There's usually twins involved.
Yeah, look at you. And he goes, sometimes they come from the primordial ocean, sometimes the primordial egg, sometimes the egg floating in the ocean. Greeks think that. The egg floats in the ocean, and is the mound itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know that you actually are probably now getting a lot better than you think. Everything we talk about just seems like random stuff, but actually I'm really teaching you college level mythology.
Right. Yeah, for sure. So like all the Sumerian and Babylonian gods, Enki/Ea began as a local god who, according to the later cosmology, came to share the rule of the cosmos with Anu and Enlil. His goddom was the sweet waters that lay below the earth. The stories of Inanna, goddess of Uruk, describe how she had to go to Eridu in order to receive the gifts of civilization.
See, and that's the Graham Hancock stuff, the gifts of civilization.
Yeah, that's right.
But where did it happen, Corey? Since he doesn't know, we should help him. Graham Hancock, it's Eridu.
Yeah, that's right. Which is in Mesopotamia.
Which is, southern Iraq, just in case you're wondering.
Yeah.
And release the Sumerians. People that you guys talk about all the time and yet seem to you've never read a book about them correctly.
Right.
It's like you come up with all kinds of nonsense bullshit.
Yeah. At first, Enki, the god of Eridu, attempted to retrieve these sources of his power, but later willingly accepted that Uruk now was the center of the land.
So the Axis Mundi, the center of the land.
The center. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
The urban nucleus of Eridu was Enki's temple, called House of the Aquifer, which in later history was called the House of the Waters.
Which Corey already knew because it was Azu.
Yeah, that's right.
See? Which is actually a deity, but also the water.
The name refers to Enki's realm. His consort, Ninhursag, had a nearby temple at Ubaid.
And Nursag, as we already said, has to do with the salt water and the
Right.
ocean.
Yep. It is assumed that Namu was associated with water. She is also well attested in connection with the incantations and apotropaic magic. She was regarded as the mother of Enki, and in a single inscription, she appears as the wife of Anu. But it is assumed that she usually was not believed to have a spouse.
See, this goes back to two that people don't understand. A lot of the deities had multiple, they didn't get divorced. In other words, people married and then you just separated, and then you just fucked other people. So
yeah,
like if there wasn't rules. Oh yeah,
right. Yeah, as if we didn't have to get the government involved in our personal lives.
Right. Then we would one day be with this one person, and then when we broke up, then we would have a new person. And it wouldn't be strange because there's no thing that you have to be married for life.
Yeah.
So the Sumerians didn't believe in that, and so they didn't do that.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Weird.
Oh, by the way, so everyone knows, the Sumerians were totally cool with gay. So I hate to break this to you, but if you were a priest of Anana, you probably were homosexual, trans, or drag queen something, because you had to, in a sense, dress different and often have sex with men. So, just saying. My point is that was considered sacred, by the way. Those people that, men or women, that go to the Anana temple and have sex with people, they were sacred prostitutes. They would be considered like high class. Those are it's the opposite of how we see the things.
Yeah.
Those are like rock stars, and because they're also because it's not just sex. It's in their thinking. It's like you are interacting with the goddess or whatever, in a sense. And you see what I'm saying?
There's a spiritual aspect to your sex or whatever.
Correct. When you have sex at the temple, both of you, they're in a sense shape-shifting in a metaphoric way, shape-shifting into the goddess, and then you are interacting with the primordial goddess, in a sense. And then the result of that is both of you come, and so liquid is given, and thus probably relates to the whole water thing.
Yeah, I could see that. That makes sense.
But anyways, I'm just saying, it's like an offering or whatever. You have sex, it's almost like an offering. Anyways, my point is that some of this would that's my point. My point is that even when it's sexual, it's not sexualized the way we today would think of it.
It's not. No, that's interesting, because we have a particular perspective on sex and whatnot.
A Christian perspective, correct?
Yeah,
a very what do they call it? Paternalistic. I don't know.
Puritan.
But Puritan, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, a Puritanistic way of approaching sex and marriage and relationships in general. And that's why I said my thing of being a relationship anarchist, the counselor thought I was a whack job.
Right.
The fuck is that? Oh, hell no. That sounds crazy. That doesn't sound productive. Don't you want to be married? I'm like, yeah. And I also want to be myself. The fuck? How come we can't do both?
Yeah.
Anyway, so we left and got a different counselor.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, this is the wrong counselor.
This person is not going to work for us.
But so to me, that's what I'm saying is because I don't want us. Anyone who reads my or listens to my stuff, reads my stuff or listens to my stuff, I don't want us to straw man religion. There is plenty of bullshit that we can laugh at and is wrong or whatever.
Yeah.
But when they do sexual, it's probably not something to laugh at, because it's probably actually not. You look more like the fucking fool than them doing it, because how they're doing it, why they're doing it is so different than how you're taking it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like you're taking it, or I would say in America, because I can't speak to how Canadians act, but in America, a lot of the humor, that sexual stuff, is like, I don't know, a 10-year-old boy or something, or 14-year-old boy or something. You know, it's immature as fuck. How's that?
Yeah. No, much of Canada is the same. Like, really, American culture has a heavy influence on Canadian culture.
Well, I'm just making a comment. I visited Canada, I think 6 times or something like that.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's more than probably some people, but that's not like, I think, enough to say, oh yeah, I know Canada.
Yeah, you know, we don't live in igloos. So
I do. Yeah. I've been to British Columbia, Alberta, Quebec, and what's that one in between that with the O? Ontario. Yeah, Ontario. I've been those are the ones that I've been to. Four provinces.
Yeah, they're pretty much the big ones. So
yeah. Truck driver.
Yeah.
So
which would explain why you probably didn't come to Saskatchewan much.
Yeah.
Because a lot of stuff just skips us.
Right.
But
I really wish now that I would have gone, because I almost, but I was so burnt out. I had 2 weeks before I had just gone to a convention, and then there's one in Saskatchewan, and I was like,
right. Yeah, that was our one and only Saskatchewan.
Yeah, I know, one and only. Well, I'm saying, but I could have met you, is my point.
Yeah,
that would have been cool.
Yeah, for sure.
But, oh well.
We met this way.
Yeah. It's still good. So keep reading.
Sure. Yeah. From the old Babylonian period onwards, she was considered to be the mother of An, heaven, and Ki, earth, as well as a representation of the primeval sea/ocean.
And I'm going to send you one picture. I've showed you before, maybe, but I'm going to send it to you again because they just said An and Ki. So when they are first born, they are one mound. Heaven and earth is not a separate mound. In that's what they just said. I know that they say it quickly and it's confusing. I'm going to show you a picture because I tried to help what is really being said.
Right.
So because I think once you see the picture, you're like, oh, okay. It's not. It's like the earth is flying in the air, and the air part, or the air god or sky god, is kind of holding it in the air. I think is probably the best way of explaining it. Do you get my point? The sky god holds the earth in the air.
Okay.
And then of course is then connected to the earth, but is also the earth itself is a deity, so it's a her. But if you had sex, you'd be connected. That's kind of what this symbol is. Do you see this?
Okay. Oh yeah.
Right. He's having sex with, in a sense, the temple and her, the earth, in a sense. But also, he's got wings, right? He's holding up the earth.
Right. He's carrying it all.
Yeah. Right. They call him. He's on top of the temple for him, built on top of her, in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, that's what I do that to kind of explain what the fuck is going on. Because I know it's confusing. Heaven and earth are one thing. You're like, how exactly is that? What do you mean by that?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely not clear, really.
But anyway, so go back. I just wanted you to see what I mean by when it says consider mother of heaven and earth. At one time, they were one thing. Later, heaven and earth get split. They get split by air, by the way.
Okay.
Which I think is actually Inky or something.
Okay.
It's Enil, I think. Enil, the wind, I think that's what it is, separates because she has, or maybe, anyways. But the air is what separates them, by the way.
Okay.
So and that's actually biblical too, like the Bible I'm talking about. Because in the Bible it says the Spirit of the Lord flew over the water, which is air.
Mm-hmm.
So and then when that happened, that it said it created dry land, which is also considered to be fighting the dragon, because the dragon wanted to come up on the water, onto the land. And the air is thoughtful and pushes it back into the ocean or the whatever. Right. They're back into the river, back into the air is doing that.
Okay.
I mean, in that mythology. Of course,
Right.
explaining the like looking world here, but I mean in mythology.
For
so
sure.
Just to help you understand what it means and what's going on, and when they say, "Oh, air did this," or what it is, to give you kind of a context, you have to think animistically. If you don't think it, or at least read animistically, you have to understand animistically or something. Because if you don't, this shit is going to be really fucking complicated and seem like it doesn't make sense.
Right, because everything is everything has a personhood.
Everything. There we go. Now Corey knows, right? You didn't have to believe me. You just said it because you're starting to understand.
Right.
Keep reading.
Okay.
You're doing good, by the way. This is really hard stuff, so you're doing good.
So we were at Ki, An, and Ki, as well as a representation of the primeval sea/ocean, an association that may have come from the influence of the goddess Tiamat.
Right. So click on Tiamat, because Tiamat is Namu, but it's a version that's different that turns it from just water into a snake or dragon. Click on it.
Okay.
Tiamat.
So in the Mesopotamian religion, Tiamat is the primordial sea, mating with Abzu, the groundwater, to produce the gods in the Babylonian epic Enuma Elish, which translates as when on high. She is referred to as a woman and has, at various points in the epic, a number of anthropomorphic features, such as breasts, and theuromorphic features, such as a tail.
Right. Interesting, right? So
then
you look at that thing in the corner. That is the Lord of Lightning. Those things in his hands are lightning bolts.
Okay.
And by the way, that forked symbol is in Hinduism also.
Right.
Because it's a different religion, but not really.
Right.
Or I should say, all these religions share common, lineage.
Right. Yeah.
Just like language. You can trace them back.
Yeah. Well, that's cool.
So we go back to the other things, just so you understand, go back. But you're starting to get it, right? Like you said it perfectly. These are all personifications of just fucking nature.
Yeah.
It's just animism, and they just given it names.
Right. Yeah, it's neat.
But then you start to understand it more. Oh, I get what's going on. Because you're like, this is the water, and this is that, and this. You're like, what the fuck? Because you're thinking like us.
Yeah, if you stop thinking of them as like just people who have magic powers or whatever, and start thinking of them as like
characters.
Right. Yeah. You got to think of them as like the entity of the wind or whatever, right?
Correct. And that is really where all of it starts. So all gods start like this, in a sense. So when you just learn how all gods start, Corey, right on. And you're like, yeah, now I'm less impressed with gods.
Well, shit. The magic is gone.
Theism is not going to not be an option for me in my future, I can say.
Yeah, shit,
Right, but I do like it. I like that you're starting to understand too and feel more comfortable.
For sure.
So then read where it says Tiamat is the long snake dragon-like being.
Okay, yeah, Tiamat.
Oh, by the way, I'll send you the picture of her too.
Okay.
So that way we can all see because I actually have art of it. So of Tiamat and of the Sumerian deity Nanu that came before her. Or they're both her. And also, by the way, which I don't think that they focused there, but that deity was a single only deity. In other words, no male was related to her. It was a female by herself. So the world is created by a female by herself.
Okay.
So later, Jesus and God and all that are just a child of that woman, which then later they try to say, no, we did everything. The one pouring the water is Nanu, and then the one that's a dragon. Do you see it?
Oh, yep.
Then the Tiamat is the dragon thing. That's almost all of these are art the way that the Sumerians drew things.
Okay.
I just tried to make them a little bit flashier, but this is how they did. I didn't change the art. Like remember that when we start this blog, That's all mine. There's nothing, no real anything. I just did some stuff because I was playing around once in a while. Because I really hate that everyone goes, oh, did you do art? I really can't do art. I gotta do shit I don't even give a fuck about.
Right. Can't do something for fun.
Yeah. So I did just a little more fun for this one. I was like, I was gonna get a bunch of really technical like I always do. And I thought, I just want to draw something fun,
Yeah. Right on.
But so this thing is the primordial sea. See that?
Yeah.
And then it says it mating with the water, the groundwater. The sea, salt water mates with the fresh water to make deities. Yeah, I know. I'm just saying. That's what they believe. I think that's good.
Yeah.
We'll shut this now, and then so next go back now to the thing. So next time, what are we doing, Corey?
It says creation myths from Chaos, Ex Nihilo, Earth Diver, Emergence, World Egg, and World Parent.
You're like, I already kind of know about some of those.
We have discussed this on some level.
Right. So that's good. Next time we're going a lot more deeper. So I really appreciate it, Corey. And is there anything that you want to talk about insightful that you learned or that you liked or anything?
Well, I overall, I thought it was just a pretty fun start to this series. Like,
right on.
I enjoy mythology. So for me, this is like learning about, the origins of and connections between Greek and Norse and Indian and various mythologies. I think that's cool as hell.
Right. Pretty much it's pretty much, I know how almost all the world religions connect. And that's what we're now learning, the mythology side, not the DNA or the archaeology or that. We're going to focus pretty much hammering the living shit. But now like when they said that it relates to the myth of the mounds, or you already know what that is. And
right.
And they found that the tablets in a ziggurat, you know what that is.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So that's why I said that's why I wanted to do it that way, because once you know what they're talking about a little bit, then you don't feel like you're blind.
It helps, eh? Yeah. For sure.
But I really appreciate it, because I know it's hard, Corey. This stuff, I mean, if it was easy, everyone would already be doing it.
Yeah. I gotta admit, when you posted that it was going to be 15 videos, I was like, oh my God, I did not know it was like that many. Like, there's got to be a lot there. But like
I said, I actually left out dragons and snakes. I could have added with water or after water, because that really does. But I was like, we'll do them by themselves. I want to do snakes by themselves and dragon by themselves because they're kind of different. So I'd rather, they're same.
But different, yeah.
But so it's good to know about. But I was saying, but you need to know about both. So I to understand religion, this stuff is, like I said, I know it feels like I'm doing these concepts are jumping all over the place, but what they're doing is actually showing the whole map, and it's hard because they're jumping around on the map, but they are showing you the map. They are, that's like I said. Anyone who watches this should know, where does the first kings come from, Corey?
Eridu.
Where does the oldest possible Bible references come from?
That'd be Eridu as well. Yeah.
Same place.
Yep.
Same fucking place. What's the first city in Sumerian? Eridu. So it's really easy because you can just kind of, just stick to
the same answer.
Yeah, and you're kind of good. The first priest king, the first city, and the mythology.
Yeah.
Even of the Bible, the oldest would be Eridu. There you go.
Yeah, for sure. One other thing I guess I really liked is, like you say, like, when you take away our modern conceptions about avatars or whatever, like the way that we conceptualize Thor from Marvel movies,
right,
or what have you, like, and think of it as more of like the animistic kind of like, this is a personification applied to an event that happened in nature. Yes. I think that's very cool. It really helps you understand, I think, the way that they were thinking when they kind of believe these things.
Speaking of which, if you go to Proto-Indo-European mythology right now, we're gonna end, but I just, because you brought that up, it literally says what you just said in the mythology. Go ahead, Proto-Indo-European. I'll have to do it too.
Okay.
Proto-Indo-European mythology, not just Proto-Indo-European languages.
Right. Yeah.
You have to do the mythology, otherwise you will not get what I'm talking about. Okay. Proto-Indo-European mythology. We're both there.
Yep.
Okay. Don't read any of that because this is saying some of the same shit you already did. You know,
right.
Puritos, whatever. No. Let's see. Where is it? Oh, here. The where it says the methodological naturalistic approach. Now, what I want to say about this is, it's not that they're not right that these things are going on. It's wrong how they try to focus it into like an either or only or the
okay. Yeah.
Or all did this, but this is generally what you were talking about. This is kind of this is accurate, but not as hardcore as the kind of they like. Yeah. But go ahead and read that because I do kind of agree with this, just not super. Well, put it this way, I agree with this one and the other one, the ritualistic school, but and the functionalist a little bit, and the structuralist a little bit. So because I do it works, but I do agree that it is happening. This is how myths happened.
Right, like so. This meteorological or naturist school holds that Proto-Indo-European myths initially emerged as explanations for natural phenomena.
I 100% agree with that.
Such as the sky, the moon, the sun, and the dawn. Rituals were therefore centered around the worship of those elemental deities.
Oh, the only thing I would say is that this happened 30,000 years ago. This phenomenon with the sky. Just saying, throwing that real quick. I don't think it just happened like when they got to Eridu.
Right.
They were already have tons of stuff. Just like the oldest moon calendar is 34,000 years ago. Even the NASA science knows this.
Right.
So, yeah. And the oldest sundial known that I should say that Damien knows about, besides maybe like say Stonehenge or some other kind of place that aligns with suns, and even dolmens do this. But I'm talking about like a thing, like a sundial or something, is 3,500 years ago. So 34,000 for the moon, 3,500 years ago for the sun. So
wow,
a little bit of a difference.
Yeah, no kidding.
But I do think that probably about 7,000 years ago, the emphasis on the sun became a big thing. And what did Corey already knows now? Corey, what was before the sun?
There was a primordial something.
Woman. Primordial woman.
Right.
Yeah. So and then was there any other gods? Was it always in that sense? Was it always pantheistic? Yes and no. It was always a bunch of spirits. So in a sense, maybe not alone, but there was only one deity, one female. Right. That's it. And she was water. And she was only good. There was no moral judgment. She was only good, only helpful. Didn't do war or any of that shit. All that crap came later. None of that shit relates to when religion started. So when religion started, was religion toxic in a sense? Even deities? Not really.
Not really.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Not really. No, not really. Not super. No, not super toxic. No. Did it become toxic? Yes. Yes.
The power got involved.
1,000 years ago, when the male clan started to take over, and 5,000 when they finally became totally taken over. Yeah. And then the first states emerged. Yeah. Then everything got totally fucked. Yep. Yeah. But so I'm just saying, if you just look at the myths themselves, they tell you what happened.
Right.
I mean, they go, well, I don't know. Well, these are Sumerian myths. So these are like the oldest of anything that we can prove. And that's what they say. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm going to go right now with the evidence points to.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like I said, I think it's real profound because it literally debunks, just reading this stuff, to me, debunks the religion. But yeah. And like I said, I know that this many videos seems like a lot, but you really do need to understand what I'm saying.
Right.
It's very, very helpful. And
I'm sure by the end of it,
15, Corey, you got a lot more learning to do.
Yeah. So 15 videos every 2 weeks. That's 30 weeks. So we will be doing this for a little while now.
Yes, you will. It'll give you time to read that book of the white, the myth of the white great waste, the mounds. Because we are, of course, going to go back to archaeology. You know, Damien can't stay away from archaeology. But we are going to have 15 videos that Damien has forced himself to, because I'm like, you just got to know the myths. If everyone understood how this shit connected, you would never again believe this shit.
Right.
You couldn't.
Yeah.
I think, but that
makes sense.
What people will believe.
Yeah, that's true.
They still believe capitalism is good. I'm like, all the evidence says otherwise.
As we discussed earlier, there are people who believe the moon is a hologram. So, so I guess you can only reach some of the people.
But I feel like we're doing our part.
Yeah.
I feel like both of us are promoting the truth and promoting anarchism, which is, to me, the solution to the truth. The truth is things are fucked.
Yeah.
The solution is anarchism.
That's right.
So speaking of that, go ahead and tell us about your show, which is more, because everyone gets archaeology and myths and DNA and every other crazy thing. Not too much anarchism and socialism, but I love it. But Corey, has the pleasure of making that the main focus. So go check them out.
I do interviews with people on various leftist topics, and me and my co-host Justin, we talk about a variety of books that have a leftist kind of angle to them, and you can find it. All the stuff is where Justin always does it. Here's the link right there. linktr.ee/skepticalleftist. So
everyone should check it out, and everyone also should go to his Patreon and sign up. Help him, even if you could just do a little bit. It all matters, and you really should help both of us. I mean, in the sense, you help me by helping Corey because Corey is helping me. So it's fucking true. It literally is true. You are helping Corey. You are helping me. And I need Corey to help me because look at how hard this shit is.
Yeah, that's right. And we do there's lots of bonus content over there, and then there's like me and Justin are going to be doing once a month live streams for patrons only. So then
and we're going to do that too. You and me will do for this show. You can go over and watch a live stream and talk to me and whatever. Yeah. So on Corey's thing, because I wanted to where we're doing that for once a month or whatever for you, because it matters. Corey is doing fucking excellent work and supporting the cause, man. And it's important. And I feel like it's an adjunct to this because I make you want anarchism. Go learn about it with him.
There you go. Right on.
Right on. Well, everyone, I appreciate it and take care.
For sure.
Hello, and welcome to my channel. I am Damien Marie AtHope. In the simplest terms, I am an atheist-humanist philosopher and prehistorical writer-researcher at DamienMarieAtHope.com. I am specifically an axiological atheist. An axiological atheism can be thought to involve ethical and value theory reasoned and moral argument driven apatheism, agnosticism, atheism, anti-theism, anti-religionism, secularism, and humanism. Axiological atheists can be understood as a value theory or a value science atheist. As an axiological atheism's ethically reasoned and constructive pro-humanity. I am an axiological thinker, value theorist. The science of goodness, worthiness, usefulness, valuableness, virtue, reliableness, accuracy, validity, morality, integrity, beneficialness, etc., etc. We axiologists have a value consciousness. And in general, we see the architecture of humanistic humanitarianism value in people that we see as dignity beings. places and things are not. Axiology is a value theory. In its broadest sense, it involves areas of philosophy that are deemed to encompass some evaluative or evaluation aspect. Therefore, it crosses almost all domains in some way or another. Now for a more detailed terms as to what I am. I am an axiological atheist, an anti-theist, an anti-religionist, secularist, humanist, rationalist, writer, artist, poet, philosopher, advocate, activist with schooling in psychology, sociology, as well as I am an autodidact, self-taught in science, archaeology, anthropology, and philosophy. I promote science and am against pseudoscience, pseudohistory, pseudomorality, things that are found in religion.